Chapter 1188 Untitled. How was that even possible? He was so much more powerful than Feng Wu since she was 2 levels below him. How could Feng Wu overpower him like this? But this formation was so terrifying. The stones seemed to be as numerous as the stars, and he couldn't tell where they came from. There was no pattern to it at all. Thump. 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 Xianyuan dodged as quickly as he could. However, every time he thought he would make it, he would be hit by another stone. They were hitting him on his legs, body, chest, head. The stones were flying at him at impossible angles, and in the slyest way. They seemed to be targeting his most intimate parts. They were on a stage. Xianyuan was so mad that he wanted to tear Feng Wu into pieces. However, the angrier he got, the more flustered he became, which only made him clumsy and more prone to getting hit. Thump. 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 Xianyuan swore that his body was bruised all over. There probably wasn't any uninjured part left on his body. But Feng Wu was still closing in on him. There was nowhere for Xianyuan to hide, and he was soon covered in blood. Ah! Xianyuan grunted in pain. Stones fell like a downpour, and they were getting more accurate at hitting their target. Thump, thump, thump. In the end, Xianyuan could barely stand up. He knew that he was going to die if this went on. In the audience, everyone watched with open mouths. Feng Wu, she's able to force Xianyuan into a corner like this. What's that stance? How can it be so awesome? If I'm not mistaken, that's Flying Dragon, Mr. Fang's famous move, isn't it? I didn't know that Grand Secretary Fang taught her his most famous stance. He must see great potential in her. Poor Xianyuan. As powerful as he is, he's still inferior to Feng Wu. Xianyuan proposed this duel with Feng Wu himself, but now, he's losing. Talk about digging one's own grave. Everyone in the audience was talking excitedly. Many in the VIP section were watching with wide, astonished eyes. The people of the Xianyuan family frowned nervously. Many of the Feng clan frowned as well, such as Lady Wang and her children. Gritting her teeth, Lady Wang exchanged anxious looks with her children. How could Feng Wu be winning? She didn't deserve to. How can she be? Lady Wang was so mad that she almost bit her tongue. Feng Lu clenched her fists. What an awful day. Why won't Feng Wu die? At the center of the VIP section, the Empress Dowager stared at Feng Wu with a brooding look in her eyes. She seemed to be lost in thought. Feng Sun grinned. Your Majesty, it seems that you're going to lose the bet. The Empress Dowager rolled her eyes at Feng Sun, then snorted. Just admit it. Are you the reason that she made all this progress? Feng Sun shook his head. That was Grand Secretary Fang's work, not to mention that the princess is a talented and hardworking girl. Why are you so surprised that she'll defeat Xianyuan? He had almost exposed Boss Jun, judging by the old lady's attitude. If she knew about the help Boss Jun gave Feng Wu the night before, she would be so mad that she would probably have Feng Wu killed. In the arena, Feng Wu was still gaining ground. Xianyuan kept falling back, and was on the verge of losing. Xianyuan life was quickly being depleted, as if it was going down a drain. 50%, 40%, 30%. Chapter 1189 Untitled. As much as they hated to admit it, it was clear that Xianyuan was going to die. He was going to be defeated by Feng Wu, the so-called good-for-nothing. However, Feng Wu had never let her guard down even once. She would stay vigilant as long as Xianyuan was alive. It seemed that Xianyuan only had moments to live, when, damn it. He stared at Feng Wu. Do you think you can frighten me? Feng Wu smiled. I don't care if you're frightened or not. I'm going to kill you today. Xianyuan smirked. You want to kill me? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and unleashed a streak of cold spiritual essence. The terrifying fluctuation spread out from Xianyuan Yi toward Feng Wu, moving so fast that she had no time to react. Shit! Feng Wu's stomach lurched when she sensed the intimidating energy. How frightening that spiritual essence was. And that pressure was so scary. Xianyuan Yi no longer felt like a spiritual grandmaster anymore, but a spiritual elder. How did that happen? Feng Wu frowned, and her face darkened. She had expected that Xianyuan Yi would have something up his sleeve, but this was much bigger than she thought. Just then someone cried out in surprise. Hey! Check out the billboard. Whoosh! Instantly, all eyes were on the billboard. The rankings on the billboard changed rapidly as they watched. The previous changes were already very drastic, but now Xianyuan Yi's name was still moving upward. 9th, 8th, 7th. Rong Shixin and Si Yuan's pupils contracted. They had thought that the two of them would be the last people affected by this fight today, for they were first and second on the billboard. And they had been there for a very long time. It had been 7 or 8 years since anyone was able to challenge their positions. But now Xianyuan Yi had suddenly become 5th on the billboard. No, he was still rising. How was that even possible? That was crazy. The scarier thing was that Xianyuan Yi was steadily making his way up the list. No! Si Yuan cried in astonishment. This isn't happening. Si Yuan had been quite confident before this, but he had just taken a heavy blow. Standing ramrod straight, Rong Shixin prayed inwardly. Please stop. Stop right now. But the system didn't seem to hear his prayer, because after surpassing Si Yuan, Xianyuan Yi made it to the top of the billboard. Thud. The billboard itself shook violently at that moment. OMG. Holy crap. That can't be true. Oh, God. Shit. Xianyuan Yi is first now. What should Feng Wu do? Instantly, all eyes were on Feng Wu, for Xianyuan Yi's abrupt rise in ranking was so scary. It made the fight that had happened so far look like child's play. If Xianyuan Yi can do that, why didn't he do so right at the beginning? Feng Wu would never have stood a chance if Xianyuan Yi had fought like this earlier. That's right. He wouldn't have lost an eye if he had been like this all along. Exactly what was going on? Everyone was baffled. How frightening. Chapter 1190 Untitled. Xianyuan Yi is insane, Feng Wu is so dead. Instantly, everyone gazed at Feng Wu with sympathetic looks in their eyes. Talk about every dog getting its day. And all the cards which Xianyuan Yi had up his sleeve. How many more secrets did he have? Feng Wu. Die. Just then, formidable spiritual energy erupted from Xianyuan Yi, and there was a murderous look in his eyes. He exploded with a strange energy. Instead of using a sword, he pointed at Feng Wu with his finger. Instantly, the space in front of Feng Wu twisted. How savage! Feng Wu felt fear that she had never felt before. She immediately retreated. But the energy from Xianyuan Yi's finger followed her everywhere. Thud. Feng Wu dodged the first and second strikes, but couldn't get away from the third. Whoosh! With a white flash, the streak of energy aimed at Feng Wu's eye scraped against her cheek. It cut her cheek open. Feng Wu touched her face, and her hand came back bloody. The audience cried out in surprise as well. Luckily, Feng Wu had dodged in time. If she had moved any slower, she would have lost an eye. Thump. 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 Xianyuan Yi's finger followed Feng Wu however she turned. She kept losing ground and was in an awkward predicament. She narrowly escaped several times. The direct attacks missed her and she got away with just scratches. The audience who had been sitting rose to their feet, and those who had been standing were on tiptoe. Everyone was so nervous and on edge. Is Feng Wu going to die? Why is Xianyuan Yi suddenly so powerful? Who's going to live and who's going to die? Some of the audience didn't really care who lost or won. They were only here for the atmosphere. However, as events unfolded, they experienced a gamut of emotions, and were utterly intrigued. They now desperately wanted to know how this duel would end. Everyone was so curious about exactly what kind of change had taken place in Xianyuan Yi's body. So was Feng Wu. She had never expected Xianyuan Yi, whom she had almost defeated, to rise again and fight like a junior spiritual elder. How frustrating. Thump. Xianyuan Yi's finger came down from above and jabbed Feng Wu in the back. Arg! Feng Wu cried out in surprise and fell forward despite herself. Thud. There was a bloody hole in her back. It was made by Xianyuan Yi's finger. With a malicious grin, Xianyuan Yi said, Feng Wu, go to hell. As he spoke, he raised a leg and stepped down hard on Feng Wu's back. Feng Wu was already in pain from her injuries, and the foot on her back only made her dizzy. She spat out a mouthful of blood which she had been trying to keep down, spraying the air with a bloody mist. Ah! Everyone cried out in astonishment. Feng Wu was going to be stomped to death. Xianyuan Yi ground his foot, as if it contained enough power to crush heaven and earth. Crack! It was the sound of bones breaking. The sound was so creepy and blood-curdling. Feng Wu spat out another mouthful of blood. Xiao Wu. Xiaoge turned pale. Clenching her fists, she tried to jump into the arena. However, the platform seemed to be surrounded by an invisible shield, and no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't get in. Feng Wu, hang in there, may God favor you. Gong Sunqing, whose life Feng Wu had once saved, pressed her hands together and mumbled to herself. Feng Wu, hang in there. Hang in there. Chapter 1191 Untitled. Jin Yuntao and his two friends were praying for Feng Wu as well. Xianyuan Yi didn't immediately kill Feng Wu, for he enjoyed the process of slowly torturing and humiliating his enemy. He wanted to crush her bit by bit. By then, blood was gushing out of Feng Wu's mouth and had gathered around her head. Her clothes were stained completely red. Fresh blood was streaming out of her body and she looked like she was taking a bloodbath. It was a ghastly sight. Feng Wu, stand up. Stand up. Feng Wu, don't give in. You can do this. Feng Wu, hang in there. Numerous people cried out all at once, calling Feng Wu's name. The only thing Feng Wu could feel was how dizzy she was. Her vision went dark and she could see stars. And she could hear people calling her name. Gradually, Feng Wu regained consciousness. She opened her eyes with much difficulty, before narrowing them again. When she really thought about it, Feng Wu immediately saw why the whole thing seemed so odd. There was no way that Xianyuan Yi could have made so much progress in such a short time. This power came completely out of nowhere, and previously, Xianyuan Yi would have killed her without hesitation when he got the chance, but now, he was humiliating her the way a cat played with a rat. Thud. He jabbed his finger into Feng Wu's back again, making her shudder. She felt as if an electric current was running through her, and she teared up at the pain. No, she couldn't let him do this to her. She would die. The greatest thing about Feng Wu was that the more critical a situation she was in, the calmer she became. But her calm wouldn't help her now. Xianyuan Yi raised a leg and kicked Feng Wu away. Thump. Feng Wu was kicked into the air before she fell back down to create a human-shaped crater in the ground. It hurt. Feng Wu vomited more blood, feeling like she was in pieces. Every bit of her body hurt, and she could hardly breathe. It seemed to be a hopeless situation for her. And it reminded her of when the Zhou family destroyed her true phoenix blood. At that moment, Feng Wu recalled the Zhou family and Zhou Qingyuan and her hatred of them, as well as her beautiful master, and even Jun Linyuan that I can't die here. She decided that she had to live, no matter how impossible it seemed. Xian Yuan Yi started marching toward Feng Wu. Seeing that, everyone held their breaths for Feng Wu, who was in such pain that she could barely breathe. All of a sudden Feng Wu seemed to reach an epiphany, as she saw through life and death. The next moment, she felt the spiritual essence around her grow thicker, before it poured into her body. Is she making a breakthrough? Xian Yuan Yi sounded amazed. But he didn't think much of it. Even if Feng Wu made a breakthrough, she would only be a level 8 spiritual grandmaster. Compared with him, a junior spiritual elder, she was nothing. However, the audience was utterly amazed. This is spectacular. Who would have thought that after Xian Yuan Yi, Feng Wu would make a breakthrough as well? Now they're even. Let's see who's going to win. However, Xian Yuan Yi only smirked. Feng Wu, do you think that a breakthrough will solve your problem? I'm telling you, no way. As Xian Yuan Yi spoke, a long sword appeared in his hand. Wait. I hereby announce that I, Xian Yuan Yi, will kill Feng Wu here in this arena today. Saying those words in his mind, Xian Yuan Yi attacked. 1192 Untitled. However, everyone was crying out at that moment. Look! Feng Wu is a level 8 spiritual grandmaster now. OMG! A level 8 spiritual grandmaster. Feng Wu is amazing. Many cheered in the audience, but a lot of people in the VIP section looked relaxed. The people of the Xianyuan family smirked. She was a mere level 8 spiritual grandmaster, which was nothing compared with Xianyuan Yi. Strange spiritual essence exploded in the arena, and energy erupted from Xianyuan Yi's fists. It shot at Feng Wu with a rumble. The air in front of Feng Wu twisted with a crackling sound, as if big boulders were tumbling down. Shit! Everyone cried out inwardly. They were so sure that Feng Wu was going to die this time. Thump! Xianyuan Yi's fist smashed into Feng Wu, sending her flying backward. She flew in an arch in the air, before crashing down. Thump! Many people covered their eyes involuntarily. Was Feng Wu dead? Surely that had been enough to kill her. Feng Wu lay there, motionless and covered in blood, as if she was already dead. Xiao Wu. Chaoga rushed toward the arena as if she had lost her mind, but the others stopped her. Feng Sun was worried sick. If anything happened to Feng Wu, Jun Linyuan would be so furious that he would slaughter the entire crowd here. Xianyuan Yi, do you have a death wish? Feng Sun roared and rushed toward the arena. Stop him, the Empress Dowager bellowed. But before Feng Sun could say another word, the Empress Dowager said angrily, it's a duel, and no one is to interfere. But Jun Linyuan really would lose his mind if Feng Wu was killed. Feng Wu was still lying motionless in a pool of her blood, when spiritual essence started rushing into her body. Was that the convergence of spiritual essence? Everyone stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Was she having another breakthrough? To their astonishment, there was a crackling sound in the air from the gathering of spiritual essence during Feng Wu's breakthrough. Oh, God! Am I seeing things? Feng Wu is. Everyone was already astonished by the way Xianyuan Yi had broken through, but now. Check out Feng Wu's ranking. Feng Wu had been 20th before, but now, she was making her way up the list. 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 4th, 3rd, 2 ND. Many were looking forward to seeing how far Feng Wu would rise, and even hoped that she would rise beyond Xianyuan Yi. All the members of the Xianyuan family opened their eyes wide and were on edge. But in the end, Feng Wu stayed in second place. According to the system, Xianyuan Yi was still more capable than Feng Wu. Many in the audience sighed when they saw this. Xianyuan Yi's face twisted. Staring at Feng Wu, he struck at her with a fist, sparing no effort. He believed that the mercy he had shown Feng Wu earlier had provided her with readily exploitable loopholes. Rising to her feet with much difficulty, she pointed at Xianyuan Yi with a fair hand. Who are you? She asked the question in a cold voice. What? Everyone else looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment, wondering what she meant. Xian Yuan smirked. Are you just realizing it now? It's too late. As he spoke, he attacked Feng Wu. The spiritual essence in his palm seemed powerful enough to crush heaven and earth. 1193 The Last Turnaround 1. Just when everyone was convinced that Feng Wu was going to be killed, a level 9 spiritual grandmaster. Feng Wu was covered in spiritual essence, as if she was shielded by a strong wind. Oh, God! Feng Wu has become a level 9 spiritual grandmaster. Why don't people want to admit that Feng Wu is a genius? She's the best. She's already a level 9 spiritual grandmaster. Look! Xian Yuan hit Feng Wu. Rumble. The strength of the attack that was rushing toward Feng Wu reminded her of a tidal wave. She was doomed. The duel really was going to be over. Even if Feng Wu could fight like a level 9 spiritual grandmaster now, there wasn't much she could do. Because Xian Yuan's power was too domineering. However, to everyone's disbelief, at the last moment, the energy that had been aimed at Feng Wu did an impossible U-turn and rushed toward Xian Yuan. Feng Wu was unscathed. Xian Yuan's face turned livid. What was going on? Xian Yuan was the person who had initiated the attack, but why did it turn on him? Xian Yuan tried to control the power, but realized that he could no longer do so. How could this be? Xian Yuan was flustered and at a loss. Dodge! A cold voice rang out in Xian Yuan's head. Xian Yuan felt a numbing sensation in his scalp and shuddered, but he calmed down right after that. The voice belonged to none other than Old Master Xian Yuan, who had all 4 of his limbs cut off by Jun Lin Yuan. It turned out that the old man realized that he didn't have much longer to live, so he condensed his cultivation achievement into a soul ball which Xian Yuan then put inside himself. As long as Xian Yuan didn't refine the ball, his grandfather's soul would stay with him. The old man had remained silent earlier, for Xian Yuan's life hadn't been in danger. However, at the last moment, he never expected a girl like Feng Wu to fight like a level 9 spiritual grandmaster. She didn't seem like a year 1 student at all. In order to keep Xian Yuan alive, the old man began to instruct him secretly. This wasn't right. With her acute senses, Feng Wu was able to detect another type of energy inside Xian Yuan, which was what was directing him now. The stance which Feng Wu used just then was called, an eye for an eye, which was part of Flying Dragon. It bounced Xian Yuan's attack right back at him. Without hesitation, Feng Wu closed in on him. At the old man's instruction, Xian Yuan dodged with great precision. For a moment, the atmosphere in the arena was very tense. Everyone stared at the 2 people on the platform, not daring to look away for a split second. Because they could see that the duel was almost over. Feng Wu was finally catching up to Xian Yuan. The next moment, she shot up into the air, and spiritual essence rained down on Xian Yuan like a downpour. Boom! Feng Wu threw punches at Xian Yuan with all her might. Ah! Xian Yuan cried out in pain. Die! Feng Wu kept hitting him and didn't try to hide her killing intent at all. She had an inkling that if she didn't kill Xian Yuan now, she would be giving him an opportunity to kill her later. Thump! 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 As her punches landed, a storm seemed to sweep across the arena. Spiritual essence filled the air, and made a lot of people feel suffocated. Chapter 1194 The Last Turnaround 2. Thump! 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 Feng Wu's fists kept landing on Xian Yuan's forehead, chest and back. Ah! Xian Yuan kept vomiting blood and could barely stand up. So, is Feng Wu going to win? Xian Yuan is going to die today, is that it? I would never have thought. Poor Xian Yuan. Feng Wu is so scary. In the VIP section, even the Empress Dowager couldn't help but lean forward and clench her handkerchief, to say nothing of the members of the Zhua and Feng families. Their attention was firmly fixed on the arena. This Feng Wu is an interesting girl, thought the Empress Dowager to herself. She had been able to turn things around in a situation like this, which was beyond everyone's expectations. Even the Empress Dowager, who had disliked Feng Wu since the beginning, had a slightly different opinion of the girl. However, despite the audience's confidence, Feng Wu was feeling less and less sure about herself. Where was that strange energy? How did it disappear so suddenly? Did it give up on Xianyuan Yi? Or was this the momentary lull before a storm? Whatever. Feng Wu flipped her hand, and Flaming Sword appeared. It was unfortunate that it was only Flaming Sword. Fallen Star Sword would have been so much more powerful. Flaming Sword glinted as Feng Wu swung it through the air. The sword made a humming sound. It slashed Xianyuan Yi's back open from his right shoulder down to the left side of his waist. It was such a long gash. The cut was so deep that one could see the muscles under the skin. The tip of the blade even scraped the bone. Ah! Many people cried out in astonishment, and some girls covered their mouths involuntarily. The scene was too gory to watch. They all thought that Xianyuan Yi was about to be killed, but that a strange transformation was taking place inside Xianyuan Yi. Old Master Xuanyuan's eyes flickered as he said grumpily, "Hand your body over to me." Xianyuan Yi was in so much pain that he wasn't even able to cry, so he immediately said yes. Old Master Xianyuan said, "Close your eyes and don't try to fight back." Xianyuan Yi nodded. With a slight change in spiritual essence, Xianyuan Yi's grandfather took over his body. Feng Wu. Die. Old Master Xianyuan hated Feng Wu to the core. He believed that the girl was the cause of everything. Jun Linyuan got angry because of her, and as a result, Old Master Xianyuan had all his limbs cut off. Now that he had a chance to kill Feng Wu, of course he wouldn't let it slip through his fingers. Hence, he took the matter into his own hands, at the risk of being exposed. Roar! As soon as the old man took over, a savage energy erupted from Xianyuan Yi's body. Boom! The old man turned around and struck out with his fist. The power was tremendous. And it was invincible. How terrifying! The next moment, Feng Wu was sent flying into the air. What? Everyone was astonished. They had thought that Xianyuan Yi was going to die, but this spiritual essence just came out of nowhere. If he had the ability to throw Feng Wu off, why did he hold back before? That was so strange. Finally, you're out. Feng Wu's eyes flickered coldly as energy poured out of her body. Feng Wu, you're going to die here today. Controlling Xianyuan Yi's body, Old Master Xianyuan acted like a savage. Thump! He threw another punch at Feng Wu's face. Feng Wu was sent flying into the air again. The audience was speechless. Chapter 1195 Untitled. The audience was speechless. They had been astonished more times today than in their entire lives. Xianyuan Yi had been winning at first, before Feng Wu turned things around. However, Xianyuan Yi gained the upper hand again, and the whole process kept repeating itself. They were so confused that they no longer knew what would happen next. Because the situation had turned around too many times. However. Thump. Xianyuan Yi's fist smashed into Feng Wu's forehead. She fell to the ground, and this time, she couldn't get up. How terrifying that power was. Lying in a pool of blood, Feng Wu kept vomiting blood. She wanted to move, but was too weak to even lift a finger. She stared blankly at the sky. A flock of white birds flew across the sky in a line. In the distance, the green trees were full of vigor. Feng Wu didn't want to die. However, Xianyuan Yi had taken diabolical action. A flash shot out of his fingertip, aimed at Feng Wu's forehead. Feng Wu closed her eyes and despaired. This time, She really didn't know what to do. Right at that moment, a godlike figure descended from above. He had deep-set features, a sculpted face, and beautiful eyes. However, frost seemed to cover his handsome face. He reminded one of a formidable king who was born to rule this world. He was none other than Jun Linyuan. Oh, God! It's His Royal Highness. Why is His Royal Highness here? Even the Empress Dowager couldn't remain seated. She stood up abruptly. Empress Dugu, Jun Wuxia, and the others all rose to their feet in disbelief. They watched as Jun Linyuan stood there in the arena and made a complicated hand seal with his slender, jade-like fingers. His skin looked translucent in the sunlight and his fingers gave off a murderous energy like the sharpest blade. What's His Royal Highness doing? Why is His Royal Highness on stage? The Xianyuan family watched as Jun Linyuan stood next to Feng Wu and struck at Xianyuan Yi. The hand seal that was as fierce as a cold blade was directed at Xianyuan Yi. Seeing that, the members of the Xianyuan family felt their stomachs lurch. I thought no one else was supposed to interfere in this duel. The question was directed at the Empress Dowager. The old lady had stopped Feng Sun for that reason a while ago. However, the world underestimated how much the old lady doted on the crown prince. Where her grandson was concerned, the Empress Dowager was no different from any other common old lady. She indulged her grandson to a fault. Hence, the Empress Dowager was displeased when she heard the question from Xianyuan Yi. Shut your mouth. She flared up. Lady Northernfang's mind finally calmed down at Jun Linyuan's arrival, and she said helpfully, I'm sure that His Royal Highness has a reason for it. The Empress Dowager nodded in satisfaction. Meanwhile, in the arena, Jun Linyuan swiped his slender fingers through the air. Rumble. He caught the streak of light that had shot out from Xianyuan Yi's finger. Xianyuan Yi frowned and cursed under his breath. The next moment, that white light shot out of Jun Linyuan's hand and headed for Xianyuan Yi's forehead. Of course, Xianyuan Yi wasn't the real Xianyuan Yi now. The body was controlled by Old Master Xianyuan. Thud. The white light shot into Xianyuan Yi. Immediately, Jun Linyuan pulled, and something which resembled a tiny baby appeared in his hand. Chapter 1196 Untitled. It resembled a fruit with a human face. It had no hands or feet, and only had an old man's face. It was none other than its old master Xuanyuan's soul. Someone cried out in the audience. Oh God! Why does Xianyuan Yi have his grandfather's soul in his body? Can someone please tell me what this is about? I see. Xianyuan Yi was able to turn things around when Feng Wu was winning because of Old Master Xianyuan. Holy crap! I thought it was supposed to be a one-on-one duel. Old Master Xianyuan was controlling Xianyuan Yi's body. That can't be fair. Poor Feng Wu. She was tricked. Hearing the discussion, the Xianyuan clansmen looked ashamed. Old Master Xuanyuan's soul glared at Jun Linyuan. He bellowed in a shrill voice, Jun Linyuan. Let go of me. The crown prince acted as if he couldn't hear the old man. Lowering his voice, the old man roared into Jun Linyuan's ear, Don't for 1 minute think you can hide your secret from me. You're in love with. A grim look flashed across Jun Linyuan's handsome face. Whoosh! He crushed the old man's soul in his palm. No. Old Master Xuanyuan's scream gradually faded into nothing. Everyone of the Xianyuan clan was astonished. They were so shocked that they almost forgot to breathe. That was so terrifying. The crown prince was like the god of death. He had crushed Old Master Xuanyuan's soul as easily as crushing an ant. After that, he turned to look at Feng Wu. Looking at Feng Wu, who was lying in a pool of blood, Jun Linyuan was going to help her, when Feng Wu struggled to her feet and supported herself with her sword. She waved at Jun Linyuan. I'll take it from here. The teenage girl was covered in blood, but her limpid eyes had unswerving determination in them. She looked as fragile as she was resolute. Jun Linyuan frowned a little, for he could sense that Feng Wu wanted to keep her distance. He had broken his shackles to get out of the water dungeon, only to be turned down here. Face dark, Jun Linyuan turned to leave. He thought about leaving like this, but couldn't bring himself to do so. Changing directions, he headed for the VIP section instead. In the VIP section, the Empress Dowager no longer cared about the duel. Her baby June was the only person she could see. My dear. The Empress Dowager had only uttered 2 words, before the Crown Prince raised a fair hand. He then stood there with his hands behind his back, the lower hem of his clothes flapping in the wind. There was a brooding look in his eyes as he pursed his blood-red lips like a true royal prince. The whole time, he never looked away from the teenage girl, who was covered in blood. His hands were clenched into fists. In the arena, Feng Wu looked coldly at Xianyuan Yi. Without the old man's help, Xianyuan Yi swayed back and forth, as if all his strength had left him. Feng Wu would never give him another chance. She charged toward him like a cheetah, and the blade of her sword glinted coldly. Whoosh! Xianyuan Yi's head rolled down from his shoulders and fell to the ground. Everyone was astonished. They had expected that Xianyuan Yi would lose, but they didn't expect Feng Wu to take action so soon. A hush fell over the crowd. The next moment, the Xianyuan family exploded. Feng Wu! How dare you kill him? Chapter 1197 Untitled. The Xianyuan family wouldn't have it. Many rushed toward the stage and tried to attack Feng Wu. However, before they could reach the platform, something suddenly happened. There was a gust of cold wind, and the Xianyuan family seemed to freeze on the spot. They stood there, as motionless as sculptures. Go away! Jun Linyuan bellowed. The next moment, the members of the Xianyuan family were all thrown out of Imperial College. The crowd was speechless. They knew that the Xianyuan family was doomed. Xianyuan Kun, the backbone of the Xianyuan family, was dead. So was Xianyuan Yi, the most promising youth of the family. Instantly, everyone gave the teenage girl, who was covered in blood, strange looks. Blood covered her from head to toe, and even her thin lips seemed to be bleeding. Standing there on bare feet in a pool of blood, she looked like a tender flower bud growing out of blood. She stood proudly in the wind, looking fragile but unrestrained. Thump. After winning the duel, Feng Wu felt completely drained. She felt like an empty hole. The next moment, she felt backward without warning. Xiao Wu. Chaoga and Qiuling ran toward Feng Wu, ready to catch her. However, one person moved faster than either of them, and that man was His Royal Highness. Everyone watched this in astonishment. The breathtakingly beautiful Crown Prince moved so fast that it almost seemed inconceivable. He pulled Feng Wu into his arms before anyone else could get to her. Into his arms? What Jun Linyuan did practically frightened the audience to death. Especially the Empress Dowager. The crowd watched with their mouths wide open. Empress Dugu and Jun Wuxia were so shocked that their jaws went slack. The Empress Dowager was the most shocked of them all. Her eyes opened so wide that they almost popped out. What's going on? She looked baffled. Lady Northern Feng and Feng Sun were the most unperturbed of all of them. Because they knew all along how Jun Linyuan felt about Feng Wu. Taking Lady Northern Feng's hand, the Empress Dowager stared at the stage with trembling lips. Yaya, tell me, what's going on? Lady Northern Feng had no choice but to feign a bewildered tone. I think His Royal Highness is just being nice. Nice? Jun Linyuan wasn't capable of being nice. However, at that moment, Jun Linyuan picked Feng Wu up in both arms. She had fainted from exhaustion, and he carried her off. He was gone. Those who were left behind stared at each other in bewilderment. The crowd was speechless. What did I just see? Did His Royal Highness carry Feng Wu away? Why would His Royal Highness do that? What's Feng Wu to His Royal Highness? It couldn't be any more obvious, but no one wanted to admit the truth. Because if it was true, a lot of girls would be so devastated that they might kill themselves. At that thought, many turned to the Empress Dowager with pleading looks on their faces. The Empress Dowager was as baffled as they were. More than that, however, she was furious. That's impossible. The old lady smacked the table. The Crown Prince would never like a girl like that. This has to be a mistake. She added, even if the Crown Prince really is in love with her, I'll never let it happen. Hearing that, many people heaved sighs of relief. Chapter 1198 Untitled. Jun Linyuan carried Feng Wu away. He rode as fast as he could, and before long, he arrived at his own residence. Feng and Granny Gong stood outside the front gate as usual to greet the Crown Prince. Behind them were 2 long rows of servants and maids, whose heads were lowered as they welcomed the Crown Prince respectfully. Jumping off the horse, Jun Linyuan tossed his whip to Feng, then carried Feng Wu all the way to his bedchamber. With Feng Wu in his arms, he acted as though no one else existed in this world. He left as fast as he had arrived, like a gust of wind. However, the 2 rows of servants and maids had astonishment written all over their faces. They knew about the interactions between the Crown Prince and Miss Feng Wu, but this was the first time that he had made his attitude toward her so clear. Miss Feng Wu. The crowd eyed one another in bewilderment, and didn't know what to do. Feng glanced at them coldly and said indifferently, "Mind your own business." Yes. Once the servants were gone, Feng and Granny Gong exchanged intrigued looks. Their Crown Prince finally knew how to do the right thing. How amazing! However, the 2 of them might have celebrated a little too early. Jun Linyuan carried Feng Wu into the hot spring, which was filled with mist. He used one hand to send continuous streaks of spiritual essence into Feng Wu's body. Feng Wu was so drained that she felt as dry as hay. However, with the help of the dense spiritual essence, she began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. It seemed forever before Feng Wu woke up in bed. The garden outside was full of plants and the sun was warm overhead. Sunlight poured into the room through an open window, illuminating the floor. Feng Wu's mind was completely blank, but slowly, memories came back to her. She remembered the battle and Xian Yuan Yi, whom she had killed with her sword. So, she had won the duel. Feng Wu smiled, pleased. Luckily, Jun Linyuan had helped her with her training the night before. Otherwise, she would have been the one lying dead there. At that thought, Feng Wu was impressed by Jun Linyuan, and thought that she should express her gratitude to him. When she got out of bed, Feng Wu realized in surprise that she was filled with spiritual energy to the point that it was spilling over. How did that happen? Feng Wu was confused. She remembered that she had exhausted her spiritual essence after the battle with Xian Yuan Yi. It had left her worn out and with a pounding head and cramping muscles. How could she have recovered already? Wait, she even had more spiritual essence than before. That was impossible. Feng Wu was utterly confused. Had she been unconscious for so long that she had recovered all by herself? Miss Feng, you're awake. Granny Gong showed up with 4 maids. Granny Gong. Feng Wu remembered the old maid, who had been kind to her. Why am I here? This was Jun Linyuan's residence. Granny Gong smiled behind her palm. Miss Feng, can't you remember anything at all? Feng Wu shook her head in confusion. Granny Gong knew everything. As the Crown Prince's great help, Granny Gong wouldn't miss this great chance to praise her master in front of Feng Wu. Chapter 1199 Untitled. Granny Gong brought 4 young maids with her. They had all been carefully chosen for the task, and were very well behaved. Some helped Feng Wu get dressed, some tended to her face, and some helped her put her shoes on. Before long, Feng Wu was tidied up and presentable. Granny Gong herself put a belt on Feng Wu. As she did so, she said, "Miss Feng, the Crown Prince carried you back himself." Carried her back, himself? Feng Wu's stomach lurched. What did you say? Feng Wu seemed shocked. Granny Gong smiled. "Miss Wu, do you still remember the duel at Imperial College?" Feng Wu said, "Of course." Granny Gong said sympathetically, "His Royal Highness has been in the water dungeon all this time, and flogged as self-punishment, but when the secret guards arrived to inform him about the Xianyuan family, His Royal Highness broke out of the water dungeon right away." Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Flogged? Self-punishment? Broke out of the water dungeon. Granny Gong said seriously, "His Royal Highness arrived just in time to save you, Miss Wu. Otherwise, we can't imagine what might have happened to you." Biting her lower lip, Feng Wu remained silent, but deep down, she was slightly touched. Granny Gong was right. If Jun Linyuan hadn't arrived at the last moment to draw Xianyuan Kuan's soul out of Xianyuan Yi's body, she would have lost the battle. "Where is he?" Feng Wu's clear eyes reminded one of the morning dew, and when she turned around, she looked as pretty as a picture. Granny Gong secretly rejoiced. It seemed that all her efforts hadn't been wasted. The girl, who had been as ignorant of her own feelings as the Crown Prince, was finally going to acknowledge them. Smiling, Granny Gong pushed Feng Wu, who was all dressed up, toward the door. "His Royal Highness is in his study. It's right there, the wooden courtyard." Since Jun Linyuan had given her a lot of help, Feng Wu thought that it was only reasonable to thank the guy. Granny Gong was relieved by the knowledge that she had accomplished her mission. She left in a great mood. On her way to the study, Feng Wu still felt conflicted over how to thank Jun Linyuan, when she overheard a conversation. "Have you heard? His Royal Highness carried Miss Feng Wu back himself yesterday." "Have we heard? We saw it with our own eyes." "So, it's true?" "Of course. Don't you know? Everyone has been talking about it." "About His Royal Highness carrying Miss Feng Wu?" "That's right. Everyone is saying that His Royal Highness is in love with Miss Feng Wu." "But isn't Miss Sua our future lady? She's the real phoenix. Our Crown Prince won't just have one woman. Miss Sua is going to be his official wife, and Miss Feng Wu is going to be the concubine." "That's right. Miss Feng Wu should consider herself a very lucky woman to be able to become a concubine. Surely she isn't vain enough to hope that she'll become his official wife." Feng Wu heard every single word of the malicious conversation. She had been immersed in her own world, but frowned when she heard this. Usually, she didn't care much about other people's comments, but somehow, she was irritated this time. Whether it was because of Zhuo Qinghuan or not, Feng Wu couldn't care less. She only knew that she was now very angry. Thump. With a wave of her hand, Feng Wu picked up the maid, who had been guiding the conversation, by the neck. Chapter 1200. Were you talking about me? It was none other than Jin Qiu. Jin Qiu and Jin Xia were twins. Since Jin Xia worked for Zhuo Qinghuan, so did Jin Qiu. And Jin Qiu had been deliberately guiding the conversation in that direction because she saw Feng Wu walking their way. She was trying to make Feng Wu angry. She thought she knew Feng Wu's disposition well, and that the latter would storm off after hearing the conversation. But to her surprise, Feng Wu took action without hesitation. Held up by Feng Wu, Jin Qiu couldn't move a muscle. "Arg, you," Jin Qiu looked frightened. Holding her throat, Feng Wu stared at her with an emotionless face. "Were you talking about me?" Feng Wu had lifted Jin Qiu off the ground, and the girl struggled in fear. No matter how hard she struggled, Feng Wu wouldn't let go. Jin Qiu's pupils dilated and her eyes filled with fear. Feng Wu let go of her just before the maid was about to die. Thud. Jin Qiu fell to the ground with a thump. She was in such pain that she was in tears. Feng Wu darted another murderous look at Jin Qiu before she walked away, acting as though Jin Qiu was nothing but an ant. Sitting on the ground, Jin Qiu gasped for air, still looking shaken. Feng stood quietly outside the study. He didn't say a word when Feng Wu arrived, and only opened the door for her. Feng Wu didn't look too happy, but she was trying to control her temper. She walked into the study to find the handsome teenager sitting at the table. A stack of memorials were on the table, and the teenager was reading them attentively. Warm sunlight shone in through the side window onto the side of his face. The teenager had well-defined features, and accentuated by the light, he gave off an unapproachable feeling. He looks as pretty as a picture. Those words popped into Feng Wu's head, and she was dazed on the spot as she forgot what she was there for. Just then, the teenager slowly looked up at Feng Wu with his brooding eyes. But he went back to the memorials almost immediately as he said in an indifferent tone, "You're awake." Recalling what she heard from the maids earlier, Feng Wu bit her lower lip and snorted without saying a word. With how arrogant the crown prince was, he sat there and waited for Feng Wu to thank him. However, when she finally arrived, she looked rather reluctant to be there. Frowning, Jun Linyuan spoke in that indifferent tone again. "Well done, confronting Xianyuan Kun's soul like that." There was obvious reproach in his slightly sarcastic tone. Gritting her teeth, Feng Wu retorted inwardly, she hadn't known that Xianyuan Kun's soul was in Xianyuan Yi's body at first. But somehow, the indifferent glance Jun Linyuan gave her reminded Feng Wu of when she was little and her beautiful master had scolded her when he caught her slacking off. Clenching her fists, Feng Wu didn't speak. Since Feng Wu wouldn't reply, Jun Linyuan pushed away the memorials, which fell to the floor one after another. Feng Wu had very sharp eyes. She saw that all the memorials were about impeaching Jun Linyuan. "Get over here." The teenager was breathtakingly beautiful, but his cold voice was even more striking. Feng Wu clenched her fists. After all, Jun Linyuan had helped her. With that thought in mind, Feng Wu walked up to Jun Linyuan. Chapter 1201 Untitled. Jun Linyuan glanced at her and frowned. "Did someone upset you?" "Who do you think?" thought Feng Wu. Of course, Feng Wu would never say that out loud. She stared at Jun Linyuan, then bowed. After that, Feng Wu stood back up. She turned around decisively and left, keeping her back ramrod straight. Jun Linyuan had done her a big favor, but he had also given her a lot of trouble by carrying her back. Feng Wu felt conflicted. "Stop." Frowning, Jun Linyuan narrowed his eyes and gave off a terrifying energy. But Feng Wu didn't stop, she kept walking. The next second, an invisible power that resembled a very long arm pulled Feng Wu back. Before Feng Wu realized what was going on, she was already sitting on Jun Linyuan's lap. The position was so suggestive. The first thing Feng Wu could think of was, Zhua Qinghuan is the crown prince's future wife. As for Feng Wu, she'll be his concubine at most. She didn't like the sound of that at all. Feng Wu tried to shove Jun Linyuan away. However, Jun Linyuan caught her with his long, powerful arms and held her so tightly that veins popped on the back of his hands. A storm seemed to rage in the domineering teenager's eyes as he glared at Feng Wu. "Speak." He stared at her with a grim look on his face. Biting her lower lip, Feng Wu sulked. "What are you mad about?" The teenager stared at her, his livid face looking rather frightening. Outside, Feng was almost in tears. Granny Gong was equally surprised, and she turned to Feng in bewilderment. Why was this happening? Everything had been fine when Feng Wu came to the study. Feng shrugged. He thought that the two teenagers had talked it through already. What was this all about? Granny Gong wanted to go in and set things straight for them. "Don't," Feng stopped her. The crown prince was all about saving face. An outsider would only make things worse. Granny Gong pulled a long face. She was worried sick. Inside that the crown prince had a livid expression. Clutching Feng Wu's hand, he said aggressively, "Speak." Taking a deep breath, Feng Wu said, "I've thanked you for helping me with Flying Dragon and Xianyuan Kuan. What more do you want?" Jun Lin Yuan's eyes reminded one of a savage beast as he sneered. "Since when do I need you to thank me?" Feng Wu gritted her teeth. "If you don't, then let go of me." Jun Lin Yuan's cold voice turned hoarse. "Tell me why you're angry." Throwing off his hand, Feng Wu stared at him. "You really want to know? Speak." "Fine. You asked for it. Here's why." Feng Wu glowered at Jun Lin Yuan. "Why did you carry me back?" Jun Lin Yuan frowned. "You carried me off in front of so many people. Do you know the consequences of doing that? Do you have any idea what your fervent fans will do? And do you know what kind of crazy things the Zhuo family will try to do to me? And there's the Empress Dowager. How do you know she won't make me commit suicide with a glass of poisonous wine? You." Feng Wu grew angrier as she spoke. "Why did you have to carry me off? Do you know what that stands for? You're unbelievable." Chapter 1202 Untitled. The warmth in the Crown Prince's eyes was gone, and the look on his face turned cold again. However, something fragile flashed in his eyes. But it disappeared so fast, before Feng Wu could notice it, and the vulnerable look was replaced with raging fire. With the murderous look in his eyes, the teenager reminded one of a savage beast. "That's what you're mad about?" Caressing the girl's fair cheek with his calloused fingertip, the teenager whispered, "Do you hate our names being mentioned together that much? Do you hate the idea of being associated with me?" There was something cruel and ferocious in Jun Lin Yuan's eyes. It gave Feng Wu the creeps. Feng Wu stumbled back involuntarily, but Jun Lin Yuan wouldn't let go of her hand. In his contracted pupils, there was rage and misery. No one had been able to enrage and upset him like this before. He was a good-looking teenager, and his features were still breathtakingly exquisite even when he was angry. The sadness and despair in his eyes was heartbreaking to see. Even if Feng Wu had a heart of stone, she couldn't help feeling sorry for him at that moment. However, before she realized it, the despair in his eyes was replaced with fury. Killing intent filled the room, as if the god of death had just descended. Suddenly, the teenager lowered his head. Sensing what was coming, Feng Wu involuntarily turned her head away. However, the teenager was too fast. He pressed a hand to the back of her head and gripped her chin with the other hand. The next second, his warm lips landed on hers. His kiss reminded her of a raging storm. It was so domineering that she felt an immense power coming down upon her. Feng Wu was bewildered. When she realized what was going on, the teenager had pried her lips open and stuck his tongue into her mouth. He even tore Feng Wu's robe. The ripping sound startled Feng Wu, and she pushed at Jun Lin Yuan's chest in frustration, but he wouldn't budge. Infuriated, Feng Wu bit his lower lip until blood oozed out from the corner of his mouth like a blooming rose. However, he still wouldn't stop, and kissed her even harder. Thump. Feng Wu was so furious that her eyes went red. She then slapped him. The crisp sound startled Jun Lin Yuan, as well as the two people outside the door. Feng and Granny Gong looked at each other in bewilderment, and both were at a loss. To enter or not to enter, that was the question. Inside, Feng Wu glared at Jun Lin Yuan. There was a distinctive handprint on Jun Lin Yuan's cheek, and he looked baffled. Jun Lin Yuan. I don't owe you anything now. Feng Wu shoved him away, then ran off. In her furious state, Feng Wu used all her strength. Jun Lin Yuan stumbled back at the impact, and his lower back smashed into the corner of the table, which was made from a material even harder than dark iron. SSSS. It was so painful that even the Crown Prince grunted. Neither Feng Wu nor Jun Lin Yuan noticed that when Jun Lin Yuan smashed into the table, a peach blossom-shaped inkstone on the desk cracked. Some pale pink bubbles then rose out of the crack. Feng Wu slammed the door behind her. She ran past Feng and Granny Gong like a gust of wind. Feng wanted to stop her, but when he heard the noise inside, he rushed in with Granny Gong. The pain made Jun Linyuan break into a cold sweat. His face was streaked with sweat, and for a moment, he couldn't stand straight. Chapter 1203 Untitled. Your Royal Highness. Granny Gong was so upset that she was almost in tears. His Royal Highness was locked up in the water dungeon and endured so much just for Miss Feng Wu, but what did she do? She shoved him. The thought almost made Granny Gong resent Feng Wu. Granny Gong checked Jun Linyuan's back to find his robe wet. She touched it, and her hand came back red. Tears welled up in her eyes. Your Royal Highness. She had practically raised him herself. The wounds on his back had been horrible to look at, and she had wrapped them herself. Now, they had torn open again. Jun Linyuan's face had turned livid, and the look in his eyes reminded one of a devil. Out! Jun Linyuan bellowed. But Your Royal Highness, your wounds need to be bandaged. Granny Gong was devastated. With all the blood and the toxins from the decaying bodies in the water dungeon, no normal human being could withstand that. Go away. Jun Linyuan glared at Granny Gong. Feng knew Jun Linyuan better than anyone else. From the rage in the teenager's eyes, Feng could tell that he was infuriated. Right now, the Crown Prince wouldn't listen to anyone, except for maybe Feng Wu. At that thought, Feng had no choice but to drag Granny Gong out of the room, quietly closing the door behind them. As soon as Feng closed the door, bang! It was the sound of something crashing to the floor. Granny Gong wanted to say something, but hesitated, before she said concernedly, "Why is this happening all of a sudden? I thought the two of them had set things straight." Feng shrugged. The two kids were usually very smart, but when it came to their relationship, neither of them could think straight. His Royal Highness went to help Miss Feng Wu before the toxins were neutralized, then he went to save her at that critical moment again. He's still hurting from the remaining poison, but Miss Feng Wu didn't show any gratitude. Granny Gong complained. How can she be so ignorant? What doesn't she like about His Royal Highness? He's the best. Why is she so irritable? Is it because he likes her too much? Granny Gong complained. Feng rubbed his nose. The two kids were so alike, and His Royal Highness could be so stubborn. Feng Wu had no idea of Jun Linyuan's injury, and she ran back home, still angry. She walked into the Feng Manor to see Feng Lu, Feng Sang, and Feng Yiran. Seeing Feng Wu, Feng Lu wanted to taunt her out of habit, but Feng Yiran stopped her this time. Feng Wu had become someone they couldn't afford to offend. For one, she had demonstrated her absolute power. After killing Xianyuan Yi, who had reached perfection in his cultivation as a level 9 spiritual grandmaster, Feng Wu was bound to have a promising future. But more importantly, they had seen how the Crown Prince treated her. The scene of Jun Linyuan carrying Feng Wu off wasn't something one could easily forget. Those who saw it almost lost their minds. Those who didn't know better congratulated the Feng clan right there and then for having a true phoenix. But Feng Yiran and his family only wanted to cry. With the grudges they held against Feng Wu, they couldn't wait for her to die. However, they panicked and were flustered when they realized that she might become Jun Linyuan's woman. Hey, you're back. Feng Yiran smiled at Feng Wu. Frowning, Feng Wu glanced at Feng Yiran in bewilderment. These three had never treated her like this before. 1204 Untitled. Feng Wu couldn't care less about these people, and left after a glance at Feng Yiran. Feng Lu was displeased by Feng Wu's attitude. Do you think you're? However, Feng Yiran covered Feng Lu's mouth before she could say anything else. Shut up. Feng Lu protested behind his palm. Feng Yiran only put his hand down after Feng Wu was gone, and glared at his sister. Are you out of your mind? Feng Lu shoved Feng Yiran away. You're out of your mind. Why are you sucking up to her? She's our enemy. I want to kill. Smack. Feng Yiran slapped Feng Lu hard in the face. Feng Lu stared at Feng Yiran in disbelief. Brother. Feng Yiran's face was livid, and he sounded very serious when he said, Feng Lu, open your eyes. Feng Wu is way beyond your reach now. Feng Lu was dumbfounded. Feng Wu had no idea what happened between those two after she left, and she went back to Fallen Star Yard right away. Chaoga and the others surrounded Feng Wu as soon as she got back. Xiao Wu, are you all right? Xiao Wu, we were so worried. Xiao Wu, how do you feel now? Feng Wu smiled at the familiar faces and waved her hands. Of course I'm fine. What could possibly happen to me? See? I can jump around, and I certainly can eat a pig now. Well, after a pause, Chaoga asked, well, is the Crown Prince really in love with you? Feng Wu's heart skipped a beat. What? Chaoga hesitated. He carried you off earlier, so everyone's been saying that he likes you. The beautiful lady grabbed Feng Wu's hands in excitement. Is that true? Xiao Wu, is it? The beautiful lady had always been quite laid back, and no one had seen her so excited before. The others all stared at Feng Wu expectantly. Feng Xiaoqi was the only one who looked sad. Feng Wu jumped up, as if someone had poured boiling water on her feet. Of course not. It's nothing like that. Feng Xiaoqi's eyes lit up. Sister, really? The beautiful lady seemed disappointed. Xiao Wu, really? Feng Wu said, really? There's nothing going on between me and Jun Linyuan. Qiuling said, but they all said. Feng Wu said, who do you believe, me or groundless rumors? The others replied in unison, you, of course. Feng Wu said, that's it, then. Believe me when I say that I have nothing to do with Jun Linyuan. I don't like him and he doesn't like me either. The others said, all right. Somehow, they didn't sound very convinced. Just then, footsteps came from outside. Knock, knock, knock. Someone was tapping on the door. Granny Zhao rushed over to answer the door. Shortly after that, some familiar figures walked in. They turned out to be Feng Yanfeng, Lady Wang, and their children. Frowning and on guard, Feng Wu stared at the people in the doorway and demanded they leave. You're not welcome here. However, Feng Yanfeng walked in with an obsequious smile before Feng Wu could say anything else. Feng Yanfeng walked up to Feng Wu, patted her shoulder, and chuckled. Xiao Wu, I never knew that you're so capable. I was so worried about you. Why didn't you tell me that you recovered your abilities? All the elders were so concerned. Chapter 1205 Untitled. Feng Wu was bewildered. Feng Yanfeng even rubbed Feng Wu's head, acting like a loving senior of the family. He then smiled at Lady Xuanji. Sister-in-law, you've had a difficult time bringing up 2 kids all by yourself. How amazing! Xiao Wu has just made a name for herself, and I can see our clan rise again. The beautiful lady remained silent. Looking around, Feng Yanfeng stared at Uncle Qiu and the others with a stern look on his face. Take very good care of Feng Wu. If she needs anything, come and tell us. We'll do our best to meet her needs. After that, Feng Yanfeng waved his hand, and some servants brought out a case and set it down in front of Feng Wu. Feng Wu was baffled by Feng Yanfeng's efforts to show kindness. Her uncle had always been so condescending toward her, but now. Xiao Wu, open it. Feng Yanfeng smiled at Feng Wu, looking very fatherly. Fatherly? The word just didn't match Feng Yanfeng. Frowning, Feng Wu was about to decline, when Granny Zhao nudged her with her elbow. After all, they all lived together in the same manner. If the first branch of the clan wanted to play nice, it was better than jumping at each other's throats. There was still a very fragile Lady Xuanji living here in this courtyard now. Feng Wu was reminded of her beautiful mother as well. Hence, she nodded and opened the case. Dense spiritual essence filled the air as soon as the red sandalwood case was opened. Feng Wu asked, "Are they medium-grade spiritual stones?" Rubbing his smooth chin, Feng Yanfeng raised an eyebrow at Feng Wu. "Xiao Wu, this case of medium-grade spiritual stones are cultivation resources the clan prepared for you. Here's the share for this month. There'll be more next month." Both Feng Lu and Feng Sang looked jealous. There were 100 spiritual stones here, and they were just for this month. How generous! Feng Yanfeng expected Feng Wu to be elated and even cry with joy, but he guessed wrong. Feng Wu had no reaction when she saw the spiritual stones, she didn't even move a muscle. She had seen her fair share of spiritual stones, there was a top-grade spiritual stone lode right underneath Fang Manor. A few of those would be worth more than this case of medium-grade spiritual stones. Why would Feng Wu be pleasantly surprised? After presenting his gift, Feng Yanfeng moved to one side. Lady Wang stepped out and smiled at Feng Wu. "Xiao Wu, be good to His Royal Highness. You're a girl, so don't get jealous. Do as you're told and be demure. That should do the trick." Feng Wu didn't like the sound of that. As expected, Lady Wang went on. "Of course His Royal Highness won't have you as his official wife. Our family just isn't good enough for that. So, be content when you're made his concubine." Before Lady Wang could finish, every member of Fallen Star Yard looked offended. Feng Wu's face darkened as well. She knew this was going to happen, that they were playing nice only because they saw that Jun Linyuan was familiar with her, so they thought that they could take advantage of the Crown Prince's favor. They couldn't wait to send her packing as the Crown Prince's concubine. Staring coldly at Feng Yanfeng and Lady Wang, Feng Wu asked, "Uncle, Aunt, what's that supposed to mean?" Feng Yanfeng frowned. Feng Wu snorted. "I was engaged to Jun Linyuan once, then the marriage contract was annulled. You're telling me now that you want me to become his concubine? Grow a backbone already." Chapter 1206 When His Royal Highness is angry, a lot of people will die. Feng Yanfeng's face turned livid. Feng Wu smirked. "I'll never become anyone's concubine, not even the emperor's, let alone a crown prince's." Feng Yanfeng pointed angrily at Feng Wu. "You brat." Feng Wu stared coldly at him. "Uncle, if you're so eager to earn Jun Linyuan's favor, you're welcome to send your own daughter to become his maid. Aren't you worried about what I'll do to you if you try to trick me?" Feng Yanfeng said, "Feng Wu. His Royal Highness held you in his arms. Do you think anyone else will marry you?" Feng Wu smirked. "It's like what I said, I have nothing to do with Jun Linyuan and it'll stay that way. Nothing is ever going to happen between him and me." Thump. Infuriated, Feng Yanfeng kicked the case. What was he thinking? He had to be insane to expect her attitude to have improved. Feng Yanfeng stormed off. Glancing at Feng Wu with a malicious look in her eyes, Lady Wang smiled, then left. That was right. She was the one who had put Feng Yanfeng up to this. She knew that with Feng Wu's temperament, she would never agree to become a concubine. As it turned out, Lady Wang was right. Thanks to Feng Wu's pride, Lady Wang's mind was settled. Otherwise, the first branch of the clan would have to follow Feng Wu's orders when she became the Crown Prince's woman. And if Feng Wu learned the truth about what happened back then, Lady Wang was determined to sabotage the relationship between Jun Linyuan and Feng Wu. She wouldn't let the two of them become a couple. Feng Wu was still furious after Feng Yanfeng's family left. Why did everyone think that she was only good enough to be the Crown Prince's concubine? Why not his official wife? Bah! I don't want to be his wife. I'm not interested at all. But she was still so mad. Feng Wu gripped a stone in her hand, and she clenched it even tighter in her anger. Crack. There was a loud noise, and Feng Wu felt something crack. She looked down, before crying out in surprise. It turned out to be the stone she had taken from old Master Xuanyuan's vault. She had removed 10 items, but this stone was all she had now. And she had just crushed this light yellow stone when she wasn't paying attention. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. But thanks to that, its secret was revealed. There was a tiny peach blossom petal inside the stone. The light pink color reminded one of the cheeks of a shy girl, and it glowed a little. However, how did this petal have anything to do with her broken star pieces? Feng Wu looked confused. What? Feng Wu turned in the direction of the sound. A teenager stood there. The lower hem of his robe flapped in the wind. Standing with his back to the light, he beamed at her, his smile even brighter than the sun. Feng Sun. Feng Wu was bewildered. Why are you here? Glancing at Feng Wu, Feng Sun waved his fan, sat down in a chair, and poured himself a cup of tea before downing it in one go. The Tsiuling tea which Feng Wu made was so unique. There was nothing like it. After that, he wiped his mouth and grinned. I heard that someone upset the crown prince. So, here I am, checking on you. Feng Wu snorted, but didn't reply. Closing his fan, Feng Sun moved closer to Feng Wu. Hey, Xiao Wu, how did you do it? Feng Wu said grumpily, what do you mean? Feng Sun said, do you know the consequences of upsetting Boss Jun? Feng Wu said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Looking into Feng Wu's eyes, Feng Sun said casually, do you know what happened to those families that have been trying to get him impeached through the memorials to the throne? Chapter 1207 The Second Broken Star Piece 1. Feng Wu said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Looking into Feng Wu's eyes, Feng Sun said casually, do you know what happened to those families that have been trying to get him impeached through the memorials to the throne? Feng Wu said, it's none of my business. Feng Sun smiled. Are you sure? If you didn't upset him, why would Boss Jun lash out at those families? Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Turning around, she stared at Feng Sun with a stern look on her face. Are you here today to tell me that? Seeing that Feng Wu was genuinely angry, Feng Sun was a little surprised. With Feng Wu's temperament, what he said shouldn't have gotten to her, but why was she so easily agitated today? That was because Feng Wu was still having an emotional breakdown. With what happened at the Crown Prince's residence, and in the wake of her uncle's visit, she had accumulated a lot of negative emotions. Seeing the look on Feng Wu's face, Feng Sun tried to change the subject. What? Seeing the petal in Feng Wu's hand, Feng Sun seemed amazed. That's a peach blossom petal. Feng Wu was speechless. Obviously. Feng Sun asked, you've been to Endless Peach Blossom Grove? Feng Wu asked, what's that? Feng Sun looked confused. You don't know? This petal comes from the Empire Peach Tree in that grove. Feng Wu was astonished. The stone contained a similar energy to the broken star pieces, which was why Little Phoenix was so sure that it had something to do with the second broken star piece. Feng Wu had just been trying to figure out what clue this petal could provide. Where is this grove? Feng Wu grabbed Feng Sun's arm in excitement. Her eyes sparkled. All her negative thoughts fled, to be replaced with excitement and eagerness. Feng Sun looked at Feng Wu in surprise, wondering why the girl looked like a different person so abruptly. Is this petal very important to you? Feng Sun was confused, for he had never seen Feng Wu so excited. Feng Wu nodded, and there was anxiety in her eyes. Tell me. Rubbing his chin, Feng Sun said, it's right on the hill behind Imperial College. Feng Wu rose to her feet, moving so fast that Feng Sun almost didn't have time to react. He caught her by the arm, almost making her trip. Feng Wu looked at him in bewilderment. Feng Sun shook his head. Do you think it's a place you can just walk into? You won't be able to get in. Feng Wu was confused. Why? Feng Sun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That hill is where the legendary Wandering Temple is. You won't be able to get in. Feng Wu asked, why can't I? Feng Sun asked, have you heard of Master Linghu of the Wandering Temple? Feng Wu raised her eyebrows. As in the creator of Xiling Tea? Feng Sun said, yes, him. He's an unconventional figure who's not bound by worldly affairs, and he's all about fate. Only those he deems worthy can get into the temple. Feng Wu glanced at Feng Sun and said casually, so, you're saying that I'm not worthy enough to meet Master Linghu? Feng Sun stared at Feng Wu. Only a handful of people in Imperial College are deemed worthy. Boss Jun is one of them, of course. Let's take me, for example. Chapter 1208 The Second Broken Star Piece 2. Feng Sun pulled a long face. I've been going to the Wandering Temple with Boss Jun since we were little, but only Boss Jun was allowed to go in, and I had to stay outside with the little monk at the door. And it stayed that way until 2 years ago, when Master Linghu finally agreed to see me, but he only said one sentence before sending me away. So, don't put too much hope in your visit. You'll only be shut out. Who are the people that Master Linghu agrees to meet with? Asked Feng Wu. Feng Sun said grumpily, I can tell you, but you'll only get frustrated. Feng Wu said, do tell. Feng Sun said, His Majesty, the Crown Prince, Mr. Liu. You know, the handful of supreme cultivators. If that was the case, there was a big chance that Master Linghu wouldn't see her. So what? Feng Wu knew that she would do everything in her power to find the second broken star piece. Xiao Wu, Xiao Wu. Seeing that Feng Wu still wouldn't give up, Feng Sun stomped his foot in resignation. Fine, if you insist, I'll go with you. Otherwise, you won't even know where the temple's entrance is. Imperial College was in the outskirts, and Feng Sun and Feng Wu rode there as fast as their horses could take them. Something happened when they rode past a maple tree grove. Watch out! Feng Sun suddenly cried out. The next second, Feng Wu's horse reared up, almost throwing her off its back. It turned out that a string had been tied between two big trees that Feng Wu had been about to ride through. The string was transparent and glossy in the sunlight. It was as thin as hair, but was lethal. If Feng Wu hadn't stopped at the last moment, her head would have been cut off. What a malicious trap. No one could have seen that coming. Before Feng Wu could react, black dots flashed through the sky like shooting stars. The next second, they were in front of Feng Wu. Feng Sun's pupils contracted. There were as many as 15 men in black, and they surrounded Feng Wu and Feng Sun. Their temples were plump, which was a sign that they weren't regular assassins. Who are you? Before Feng Sun could go on, the head of those men gave the order. Kill them. With a wave of his hand, 5 men charged AF Feng Sun while the other 10 rushed toward Feng Wu. There was a cold and murderous look in Feng Sun's eyes. Xiao Wu, watch out. As he spoke, Feng Sun drew out his sword and charged at the men attacking him. Feng Sun was right. These were all very capable men. The 5 charging at him were the most capable ones of them all. Instantly, sword energy filled the air and spiritual essence spread out, creating an intimidating atmosphere. Thump! 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 Feng Sun glared at the assassins and was flustered. He couldn't kill all 5 men at once, and it only made him more concerned about Feng Wu. Feng Wu had to face 10 people all by herself. They reached Feng Wu in no time with their flashing blades and raging spiritual essence. Countless flashes of light shot up like columns of water with a roar. Shit! Feng Wu's stomach lurched. These 10 people were all as capable as Xianyuan Yi. She had confidence in defeating them one at a time, but they were attacking her together. Feng Wu was no fool. She jumped onto her horse and took flight. Where do you think you're going? 1209 The second broken star piece 3. Those men in black moved very fast. They shot out like black shadows after Feng Wu. Hiya. Feng Wu whipped her horse, urging it to run faster. But the horse would never outrun those men, and they were gaining on her as she watched. Young lady, you're not going anywhere. Prepare to die. Behind her, the head of the team smirked in an eerie voice. His hoarse voice reminded one of a ghost, and when he laughed, the sound gave one the creeps. I can't get away. Says who? Taking a deep breath, Feng Wu sprinted out. Her beautiful master had taught her Phoenix dance, which was the most advanced stance for movement known in this world. Therefore, Feng Wu was able to pick up speed when she exerted her strength. Behind her, the men in black seemed to know what her abilities were, so, whoosh. Even before they reached her, their long swords shot out at Feng Wu's back like shooting arrows. How intimidating those swords were. What was more, the 10 swords formed a hexagonal formation in midair. The team leader smirked. Killing Feng Wu was so easy. He was confident that this stance would kill Feng Wu. In fact, the sword formation was indeed a very powerful one, and it pressed down on Feng Wu with incredible sword energy. The air itself twisted. The hard ground cracked. Feng Wu looked up to see the sun blocked by the formation, and the blue sky turned grim and gray. The temperature dropped abruptly. The ferocious sword energy smashed down on Feng Wu's head like a giant whirlpool, as if it was going to grind her to pieces the next second. Xiao Wu. Feng Sun was so flustered that his eyes turned red. He wanted to help Feng Wu, but these men were blocking his way with all their might. Furious, Feng Sun had killed 2 men already. With bloodshot eyes, Feng Sun cut the men down as if they were vegetables. The blade slit another man's throat open. Instantly, blood gushed out. Even so, he was too late to save Feng Wu. Right now, Feng Wu could clearly sense the terrifying power above her. The sword formation roared like a dragon, making her dizzy. She had to stay awake. Feng Wu knew that Feng Sun wouldn't be able to help her and that she could only depend on herself now. To other people, this hexagonal sword formation was mysterious and powerful, but to a formation expert like Feng Wu, something made in such haste was full of loopholes. She stared at the third sword. It moved slightly slower than the other swords, which created a gap in a supposedly watertight formation. What happened next was quicker than words could describe. A moment before the formation fell on top of her, Feng Wu moved like a streak of lightning and charged into the center of the formation. No! Feng Sun screamed. Feng Wu was going to be cut into pieces. The men in black sneered, thinking that they had accomplished their mission. But to their surprise, the moment Feng Wu reached the center of the formation, there was a flash of white light, and Feng Wu broke free from the formation. She even used the momentum to run further away. What? The assassins, who had thought that they could wrap up for the day, eyed one another in bewilderment. How had she gotten away? Chapter 12:10 The second broken star piece 4. They had used this hexagonal formation 1,000,000 times, and it had always worked. The team leader's face darkened and he was furious. He realized that Feng Wu was indeed a difficult target. No wonder she had been able to kill Xianyuan Yi and trick Xianyuan Kun. Catch her! With a whoosh, the assassins raised their swords and ran after Feng Wu. By then, Feng Sun had finally taken care of all the 5 men around him. He then exerted all his might and dashed off as fast as he could. However, Feng Wu and those men were moving so fast that even Feng Sun couldn't catch up to them right away. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was running at an unbelievable speed. She was running as fast as Phoenix dance would allow her. The assassins had been too confident in their hexagonal sword formation and had underestimated Feng Wu, which had made it possible for her to escape. Stop! Hidden weapons were thrown at her from behind, but she was too far away for any of them to reach her. However, these assassins had been carefully chosen for the job. They were moving very fast, and continued to gain ground. Feng Wu panicked a little, for at this speed, they would catch up to her in less than 5 minutes. What should she do now? Feng Wu raised her head and quickly looked around. Wait, that she saw a sea of pink up ahead in the distance. It was Endless Peach Blossom Grove. There was a fork in the road ahead of her. One path would lead to the grove, while the other would take her to Imperial College. An idea struck Feng Wu, and she had a plan. Slowly, she moved to the right, which led to Imperial College. The men in black saw this and knew what her plan was. The team leader gestured with his hands, instructing his men to ambush Feng Wu. Whoosh! When they moved in the direction of Imperial College, Feng Wu abruptly turned at the fork and headed for Endless Peach Blossom Grove. Damn it! The team leader, who had arranged for his men to ambush Feng Wu on the road leading to Imperial College, was infuriated. What a scheming girl! However, that was Endless Peach Blossom Grove, and anyone who entered without permission would be killed. The team leader gritted his teeth. There was no time to call back the other assassins, so he mustered all his energy and dashed forward. Whoosh! 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 He ran twice as fast as before. However, he could only maintain this speed for 10 seconds, after which he would be drained of strength. But he believed that 10 seconds was all he needed. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was still running as fast as she could. The grove was right ahead of her, and as soon as she entered, she would have time to make further plans. 3 kilometers, 2 kilometers, 1 kilometer. Just then, she heard the sound of something ripping through the air. Looking back, she was shocked when she saw the team leader charging at her at a terrifying speed. Shit! Feng Wu paled and tried to quicken her pace. But she was already running at her fastest speed. Whoosh! The grove was only 500 m away, but the team leader was only 100 m behind Feng Wu. And he kept gaining on her. Feng Wu could hear his sinister snicker. Was she going to die here? Die! The man raised his sword as he leapt into the air. The sword seemed to cut the sky open. The clouds rolled. Chapter 12:11 Master Ling Hu won. The twisted space seemed to crack open. Feng Wu could sense a powerful energy over her head, to the point that she couldn't withstand it any longer. She was nervous and full of despair. Just then, a flash of white light shot out of Feng Wu's hand toward her feet. Hold on. It was Little Phoenix's voice. Whoosh! Little Phoenix instantly teleported Feng Wu away. The team leader was baffled. His sword should have cut Feng Wu in half, but with his target disappearing without warning, the momentum sent his sword smashing into the ground. Thump! The blast spread out, and there was a deep furrow in the ground. It was dozens of meters deep. The team leader was furious. Was this Feng Wu even human? Did she have 9 lives or something? Why could she get away at the most critical moment every single time? Seeing Feng Wu rush into the grove, the team leader gritted his teeth. The rule of the grove was that no weapons or battles were allowed inside, but they weren't inside yet. Picking up speed, the man rushed into the grove after deciding that he would leave as soon as he killed Feng Wu. After all, Master Ling Hu was such a terrifying name. Turning around, Feng Wu saw the man run into the grove, and immediately knew what he was planning. She then heard Feng Sun's voice. Head for the Central Valley. Quickly. But it was too late. The man was so much more powerful than Feng Wu and was a lot faster than she was. In an instant, he had caught up to Feng Wu. You're not going anywhere this time. A streak of golden light appeared in his right hand, and it shot out at Feng Wu in a ferocious manner. The golden light arched in the air before it headed for Feng Wu's back. Feng Sun watched this from afar and was terrified. Stop! Who on earth had sent these men? Why did they have to kill Feng Wu at the price of their own lives? Who was behind all this? Feng Sun wished that he had wings to fly to Feng Wu's side and fend off that lethal blow for her. because he knew that the strike would definitely kill Feng Wu. That team leader had released all his power in that strike. However, it was too late. Feng Sun was so anxious that he was almost in tears. Feng Wu was full of despair. She couldn't die like this. After finally getting her cultivation ability back and making some accomplishments, she might have an opportunity to bring her beautiful master back. There were so many things she still hadn't done. She would never accept her death like this. The man in black smirked maliciously. Where do you think you're going? He was going to take off as soon as he killed Feng Wu. Staying here in the grove would only mean more trouble for him. Someone up there seemed to have heard Feng Wu's prayer. The moment before the sword pierced Feng Wu's chest. Clank. There was the sound of weapons colliding. The team leader's sword was usually unstoppable, but now, it had turned into a lump of iron as it fell to the ground. The thing that had destroyed it was. Feng Wu looked down to find a pink petal, which was. A little monk had shown up in front of Feng Wu when she wasn't looking, and he greeted her. Ba, it is a pleasure. Feng Wu's eyes widened. The monk couldn't be more than 5 or 6 years old. His chubby cheeks still had baby fat. He was as fair and tender as a steamed bun. Feng Wu looked down again and saw a small petal next to the lump of iron that used to be a sword. Chapter 12:12 Master Linghu 2. Just then, the little monk used this petal as a weapon to neutralize the team leader's strike before turning the sword into a lump of iron. Impossible. Feng Wu thought that she was seeing things. The man gave the monk a long look and turned to leave. However, he was only able to take a few steps before he heard the monk's unhurried voice from behind. Sir, I'd rather you stay. The man's stomach lurched. Staying here was the last thing he wanted to do. He immediately started running. Feng Wu watched as the little monk sighed quietly. Well, sir, I'm afraid that you'll have to leave something behind. After that, a small petal flew out from between the monk's fingers. The petal shot out at an unbelievable speed. The man had taken the lead and was running very fast, but either the monk was too capable, or the petal was too spectacular. Thud! The petal flew toward the man and cut his right arm off. What? How could a tiny petal do that? What an amazing thing this little monk had just done. Feng Wu was so shocked that she couldn't believe what she was seeing, until the man started screaming. His arm had fallen to the ground, but he didn't dare fight back. Instead, he kept running as fast as he could. Meanwhile, Feng Sun was coming this way, and of course, he wouldn't let the man flee. Thump! Feng Sun raised a hand, easily smashing the hitman. The little monk seemed to be quite familiar with Feng Sun, and he shook his head at the teenager. Layman Feng, fighting is forbidden here in Endless Peach Blossom Grove. Little Yuangbao, of course I won't make things difficult for you. There. Feng Sun then grabbed the team leader of the assassins. Feng Sun collided with the man, almost knocking him unconscious. Before the man could react, Feng Sun picked him up and dragged him away like an eagle handling a chicken. The little monk looked at Feng Wu, and there was puzzlement in his bright black eyes. Let's go. With the man in one hand, Feng Sun prompted Feng Wu to leave. No fighting was allowed in Endless Peach Blossom Grove, and Feng Wu was no exception. However, to Feng Sun's surprise, little Yuanbao made a gesture with his hands, inviting Feng Wu in. Miss Feng, my master is waiting for you. And your master is? Feng Wu was confused while Feng Sun was baffled. Feng Wu didn't know who little Yuanbao's master was, but Feng Sun did. My master is known as Master Linghu. Little Yuanbao smiled at Feng Wu. Master Linghu? Feng Sun, who was still holding the assassin, was astonished. Little Yuanbao, what did you say? Master Linghu wants to see her. Feng Sun's eyes almost popped out. Feng Sun had grown up with Jun Linyuan, and Master Linghu had only agreed to see him once. But now, Master Linghu wanted to see Feng Wu. There was a big smile on little Yuanbao's exquisite face. Yes. Feng Sun was rendered speechless. He stared at Feng Wu. Do you know Master Linghu? Feng Wu shrugged. If I knew him, I wouldn't have asked you to bring me here. Feng Sun agreed with that, but he still couldn't help feeling amazed. Little Yuanbao led Feng Wu deep into the woods. A bully-wood house stood in the deepest corner of the yard. It was quaint and elegant, and struck one as an important place. A figure stood inside. Chapter 12-13 A Lucky Draw. 1. The door and windows of the central room were open. When the wind blew, pink peach blossom petals drifted inside to scatter over the floor. Little Yuanbao showed Feng Wu into the central room. He moved very carefully, as if he was worried that he might take a wrong step. Master, Miss Feng is here. When Master Linghu was around, little Yuanbao straightened his boyish face and kept his expression as solemn as possible. Master Linghu was looking out the window with his back to Feng Wu. Before Master Linghu said anything, little Yuanbao left the room. The air seemed hushed, and one could almost hear the sound of the breeze. Master Linghu, Feng Wu bowed. The man turned around and met Feng Wu's eyes. Even someone who had seen the world like Feng Wu couldn't help but jump a little when she saw him. What a face! He had deep-set features and a good-looking face. His appearance reminded one of an immortal, except that his face was all black and white. The left side was as white as jade and the right side was as black as coal. The contrast was so stark that it would frighten anyone. Fortunately, Feng Wu was good at keeping her composure. After the initial surprise, she looked perfectly normal again. Looking calmly at the man, she said, Master Linghu, nice to meet you. However, spiritual essence stretched out from him to wrap around Feng Wu. How terrifying! Feng Wu felt as though a mountain was crushing her. The next second, she had the feeling that she was going to be ground to pieces. She stumbled, barely holding herself up. Her knees almost buckled. Cracked, the energy was full of murderous intent. Feng Wu was terrified. She had no idea how she had offended Master Linghu to the point that he wanted to kill her. The murderous intent was so aggressive that Feng Sun, who had been sitting in the tea room outside the courtyard, dropped his teacup and jumped up. Feng Sun rushed forward like a crazy person, but little Yuanbao stopped him. He anxiously grabbed little Yuanbao. What's going on here? Does Master Linghu want to kill little Feng Wu? Feng Sun thought that Master Linghu wanted to meet Feng Wu because he found her special in some way, and he didn't expect the master to want to kill her as soon as he met her. Little Yuanbao looked just as confused and shook his head. Still, he did his duty and blocked Feng Sun's way. Without my master's permission, no one is allowed inside. Feng Sun was exasperated. What does that old man want? Feng Sun was so agitated that he looked like an ant on a hot pan. He couldn't believe how unfortunate Feng Wu was. Why did she run into danger everywhere she went? No, I have to go to Boss June. Feng Sun knew very well that he couldn't get into the yard without Master Linghu's permission. He couldn't, but June Linyuan could. At that thought, Feng Sun stared at little Yuanbao. Watch this man for me. I'll go find Boss June. With a serious look on his face, little Yuanbao nodded. Although they had just met for the first time, little Yuanbao liked Feng Wu almost immediately. He found the big sister very likable, as if they had met in another life before this. Feng Sun moved as fast as a streak of lightning. He ran out of Endless Peach Blossom Grove and headed for the imperial capital. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was under the greatest pressure she had ever felt. Master Linghu was so terrifying. But he hadn't moved a finger yet. A Lucky Draw. 2. Feng Wu felt as though magma was running through her veins, making her blood boil. A giant mountain seemed to have fallen on top of her, and with the magma-like sensation inside her, she nearly collapsed under the pressure. It felt like she was being ripped in half by that violent energy. It hurt. Feng Wu felt blood oozing out of her pores. As the blood left her body, so did her spiritual essence. Wretched. Feng Wu looked up and spat out a mouthful of blood. She swayed back and forth before her knees buckled, and she fell to the floor. Thump. Little Phoenix flew out and shielded her with its own body. Staring at Master Linghu, it shouted angrily, "You stupid old man. How dare you torture Xiao Wu? When I'm big enough, I'll burn you alive with my fire." Cough. Feng Wu wanted to speak, but as soon as she opened her mouth, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Without saying a word, she grabbed Little Phoenix and stuffed it into her sleeve. Master Linghu's power was so terrifying that Little Phoenix would get itself killed by talking like that. But just when Feng Wu thought that she was going to die, that tidal wave of spiritual essence vanished completely. Feng Wu looked up to see Master Linghu open his palm and unleash a strong suction force. "Arg!" Little Phoenix screamed. "Don't kill it!" Feng Wu cried out. However, the power was so strong that Feng Wu couldn't hold on to Little Phoenix. The next second, Little Phoenix was in Master Linghu's hand. Master Linghu looked at Little Phoenix with his ocean-deep eyes and studied the bird. Summoning up its courage, Little Phoenix glared at the master. "What are you looking at?" "I'm still too young, but when I get bigger, I'll burn you to death." Feng Wu smacked her forehead. Where did the little bird get all that courage to talk to Master Linghu like that? However, to Feng Wu's surprise, Master Linghu wasn't angry. Not only wasn't he angry, he even flicked Little Phoenix's pointy ear with an index finger. Ouch! Its ears were the bird's most sensitive part, and it shrieked when the monk flicked it. The bird then stared at Master Linghu helplessly and resentfully. The man was way too powerful for it to fight back. "Little guy, it really is you." Master Linghu released the bird, and it flew back to Feng Wu, resting on her shoulder. Those words baffled her. "It really is you." Did that mean that Master Linghu had met Little Phoenix before? That couldn't be. The bird had hatched from an egg only a little while ago. Master Linghu turned to look at Feng Wu, and there was a tiny smile on his emotionless face. A smile? Master Linghu had tried to kill her only a moment ago, but he was smiling at her now. "Sit." He glanced at Feng Wu. In front of him was a low, bully-wood table, on which sat a mini red clay stove. A pot of water was boiling on it. Taking a deep breath to suppress the pain, Feng Wu slowly walked over to the low table and knelt down. Since Master Linghu was way too powerful for Feng Wu to fight, her only choice was to do as she was told. Master Linghu's gaze landed on Feng Wu. The spiritual essence he had exerted just then was more than Feng Wu could handle. Anyone else would have had a physical and nervous breakdown, but the girl had proven to have a much stronger mind than a regular person. 1215 A lucky draw. 3. Her mental strength alone exceeded that of any regular person. "Do you know why you're still alive?" Master Linghu kept his unblinking, brooding gaze on Feng Wu, and his tone was as casual as if he was merely chatting with her. "Master, why did you want to kill me?" Even when she was facing one of the most powerful men in the empire, Feng Wu was neither humble nor pushy, and looked perfectly unperturbed. Master Linghu couldn't help giving Feng Wu a long look. Her temperament alone impressed him. That aplomb reminded Master Linghu of another amazing teenager. "I'm not a nice person. Since I've injured you, I'll help you once in return." Master Linghu looked at Feng Wu. "You may make one request." Something stirred inside Feng Wu. A favor from Master Linghu in return for an injury? If that was the deal, the people of this empire would be thrilled. Feng Wu knew better, though. Master Linghu was treating her differently, probably because of Little Phoenix. She then thought about her beautiful master. Could it be that Master Linghu knew her master as well? Feng Wu was about to ask, when Master Linghu spoke again. A question counts as a favor, too. Feng Wu was speechless. Fine, the broken star piece was her top priority. As long as her master woke up, she could ask him 100 questions if she wanted to. At that thought, Feng Wu straightened her face and looked at Master Linghu. She then opened her palm, revealing a peach blossom petal. Feng Wu stared at Master Linghu, stressing each word as she spoke. I want the second broken star piece. Master Linghu's black and white face remained emotionless, but he raised his straight, black eyebrow a moment later, and gave Feng Wu a half-smile. There was a knowing look in his eyes. He sounded amused when he asked, Are you sure? What was that look? Instinctively, Feng Wu felt that the master wasn't telling her everything, but she still nodded. I'm sure. It's going to be difficult. Master Linghu casually brewed some sealing tea and stirred the tea rhythmically with his fair hands. Feng Wu asked, How difficult? Master Linghu shook his head. It's beyond your level. You should wait until later. But how could she wait? That was only the second piece. Feng Wu gave the master a pleading look. What if I insist? Master Linghu looked sympathetic. Are you sure? Feng Wu nodded solemnly. Yes. Even if you may lose your life in the process. Even if I may lose my life in the process. Even if the chance is very slim. Yes, even if that. Feng Wu said affirmatively, clenching her fists. Master Linghu shook his head. I tried to save your life for the sake of the bird, but since you insist on courting death, fine. With a wave of his hand, a small roulette wheel appeared on the low table. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. What on earth was that? Taking a closer look, she saw that it was divided into 9 grids, and each grid corresponded to a line of words. She looked at the first grid, and the words inside read, Assassinate Ma Tian, the top cultivator of the flying guillotine. What? Feng Wu almost jumped out of her chair. Ma Tian, the top hitman of the flying guillotine? Jun Linyuan himself probably wouldn't be able to do that, let alone her. What kind of missions were these? Why were they so difficult? Chapter 12:16 A Lucky Draw. 4. Feng Wu moved on to the second mission, which read, Steal the Imperial Jade Seal of the Kingdom of Mekong. What the heck? Feng Wu almost had a heart attack. The Kingdom of Mekong. That was an empire as powerful as the Junwu Empire. The land was swarming with capable cultivators. What kind of missions were these? Feng Wu stared at Master Linghu in disbelief and couldn't utter a word. She said, Are these all? Like all superior figures, Master Linghu replied in a casual and indifferent tone, Yes. Feng Wu almost choked. She asked Master Linghu, Are all the missions as difficult as these two? Master Linghu only glanced at the roulette wheel, indicating that Feng Wu should see for herself. Suppressing her panic, Feng Wu looked at each grid in turn. The other missions weren't as impossible, but they were still frighteningly hard. She asked, Am I going to do a lucky draw? Master Linghu said, Yes. I'll have to complete the mission that I get. Master Linghu said, Yes. What if I fail? Master Linghu said, The broken star piece will disappear forever. Feng Wu. Master Linghu said, Complete the mission and you'll have it. Feng Wu took a deep breath. So, she couldn't afford to fail the mission. The consequence would be more than she could bear. What's that? Feng Wu pointed at the 12 Trials of Love in the 9th grid. Feng Wu had read each of the first 8 missions and saw that they were all equally impossible for someone like her to do. The 9th mission was the only one that confused her. Based on the roulette setup, the difficulty of the missions dropped as one moved down from the first grid, so did that mean that this 9th mission was a relatively easy one? Well, that one. Master Linghu's eyebrows twitched a little when he saw that mission. Glancing at Feng Wu, he sounded very mysterious when he said, "That one is a no-brainer." "A no-brainer?" Feng Wu's eyes lit up. Master Ling Hu nodded. "I think that's the only one that you have a chance of completing." Feng Wu thought so as well, so she made her decision. "I'll take that one." Master Ling Hu shook his head. "That won't do. Only fate can decide what you'll draw, not me." "No." Feng Wu thought to herself, this 12 Trials of Love is the only one I can handle. If that roulette wheel gives me something like stealing an imperial seal or killing the best hitman of the flying guillotine, I'm doomed. Thus, Feng Wu held Master Ling Hu's arm, swayed it back and forth, and begged him. Master, please let me take that one." Master Ling Hu glanced at Feng Wu. "Nonsense. It doesn't work like that." Feng Wu handed Little Phoenix to Master Ling Hu. "How about I let Little Phoenix keep you company for a few days?" Master Ling Hu said solemnly, "No." Glancing at the table, Feng Wu spotted some Xiuling tea and said at once, "Master, how about I make some Xiuling tea for you? I promise, it'll be as good as your own tea." Feng Wu tried her best to please Master Ling Hu, and the master almost surrendered to her sweet smile. Master Ling Hu was never close to anyone, but somehow, this girl struck him as very likable. The girl was so genuine that he found her quite lovely. "Are you sure you want the 9th mission?" Master Ling Hu glanced at Feng Wu. Chapter 12-17 Untitled. "Yes. I'll take it." Feng Wu looked at Master Ling Hu eagerly with eyes filled with longing and resolve. Then, Feng Wu watched as Master Ling Hu put the petal that she had been holding into the 9th grid. Feng Wu looked at Master Ling Hu in confusion. Master Ling Hu explained, "It'll increase the odds." Even Master Ling Hu didn't realize it himself, but he was talking to Feng Wu as if the two of them had known each other for a long time. But they had only met for the first time today, and had only been sitting here for less than 15 minutes. "Let's start." Master Ling Hu gestured with his hand for Feng Wu to start. "Sure." Feng Wu stared at the 12 Trials of Love so hard that her eyes popped. All the other missions were too difficult for her, to the point that she wanted to cry. The 12 Trials of Love was her only hope now. She had even begged Master Ling Hu for it. The roulette wheel kept spinning, so fast at first that it dazzled Feng Wu's eyes, but gradually, it slowed down. As the roulette wheel slowed down, Feng Wu could see the long hand moving past each grid. The first grid, the second, the 3rd. And it kept spinning. Clenching her fists, Feng Wu kept blowing at the wheel. Master Ling Hu pretended that he didn't see a thing. Soon, the hand turned to the 7th grid, then the 8th. The 8th mission was to kill the young dragon king of the Eastern Sea. That was an equally impossible task. Feng Wu blew at the roulette wheel with all her might. Soon. Thud. The hand stopped on the grid that read, 12 Trials of Love. Seeing that the hand had stopped on the grid she wanted, Feng Wu smiled and let out a breath of relief. Great. I made it. She didn't care if this was a real lucky draw or not anymore, the most important thing was that the hand had stopped on that grid. Feng Wu turned to Master Ling Hu in excitement. That counts, right? Master Ling Hu nodded. Of course. After that, he took out a pink bottle and gave it to Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked from the bottle to Master Ling Hu in bewilderment. Master Ling Hu said seriously, the thing in the bottle will tell you what the 12 Trials of Love really is. Remember, the mission starts as soon as you open the bottle. Feng Wu nodded solemnly. There's more. Master Ling Hu glanced at Feng Wu and wanted to say something, but decided not to in the end. He waved at Feng Wu and said, you can go now. But Feng Wu still knew nothing about the 12 Trials of Love, so she looked at Master Ling Hu and asked, who should I look for, to complete this 12 Trials of Love? Master Ling Hu said, a handsome and outstanding teenage boy, of course. Otherwise, you'll only make your own life miserable. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. What was that supposed to mean? It wasn't going to be what she suspected, was it? Feng Wu wanted to ask more questions, but Master Ling Hu asked her to leave. A handsome and outstanding teenage boy. Feng Wu was lost in thought, wondering who she should go to. To her frustration, the first person that came to mind was Jun Linyuan. No. Definitely not him. Feng Wu eliminated that option. What about Yu Minji? He sounded like a good candidate. However, he hadn't shown up for a while, and she had no idea where he had gone. He was so secretive. So, who did she know apart from Yu Minji? Wait, what about Feng Sun? Chapter 12 Trials of Love. Feng Sun should agree to work with her, even if some intimate actions might be involved. As her brother, he should help her. At that thought, Feng Wu made up her mind and decided that she would go to Feng Sun. She stepped out of the courtyard to find a dark shadow charging at her. The team leader of the assassins? Feng Wu's stomach lurched when she saw him. No, this person was much more powerful than that team leader, and unbelievably fast. If she had to guess, he was here to save the team leader. Feng Wu was on guard, and quickly shifted to one side. However, that mysterious man in black seemed to have guessed how Feng Wu would move, and changed direction as well. He struck at her with an open palm. Thump! It was a merciless attack. The spiritual essence swept across the grove, as though it was going to set everything on fire. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. Shit! She wouldn't be able to dodge. There were indeed more capable people in the imperial capital than she could count. She was a level 9 spiritual grandmaster who had reached perfection at her level, but was still as easily defeated as before. Just when Feng Wu thought that she was going to be hit, something unexpected happened. A streak of black light rushed toward them at an incredible speed. Thump! When the black light reached Feng Wu, all she could see was an afterimage. The tall figure raised his right hand and smashed down at the other man's head. Thump! Just as the man in black struck at Feng Wu, the other person attacked the man in black. Instantly, the air twisted, and an endless amount of spiritual essence fluctuated violently. Little Feng Wu. Behind them, Feng Sun arrived in a flustered state. He thought his heart was going to stop when he saw that man in black attack Feng Wu. Meanwhile, Feng Wu stood there dazed, still shaken from what happened. Thanks to the timely rescue, Feng Wu wasn't severely injured, and the fist of the man in black only brushed past her cheek, leaving a tiny scratch on it. However, Feng Wu looked up at her savior. The look on her face turned very conflicted when she saw who it was. It was Jun Linyuan, again. The last time they met, Feng Wu had kicked and slapped the guy. She thought that they would never see each other again, but as it turned out, he had saved her once more. Instantly, Feng Wu blushed and didn't know what to do. Looking down, Feng Wu saw that the bottle which Master Ling Hu had given her a moment ago had cracked. Ah! Feng Wu cried out in surprise. It was her 12 trials of love. Looking up, Feng Wu saw a faint streak of spiritual essence fly out of the bottle and take the shape of a tiny peach blossom fairy. And right now, that fairy was sitting on Jun Linyuan's shoulder and winking at her. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Somehow, she had a very bad feeling. She was quite right. There was a buzzing sound in her ears, and the next moment, a sweet, girly voice rang out in her head. The 12 trials of love have commenced. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. When she looked for the fairy on Jun Linyuan's shoulder again, she saw that there was only a peach blossom petal there. Where are you looking? I'm here. Here. The fairy spoke to Feng Wu in her head. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. She communicated with the fairy in her mind. Who are you and what do you want? I'm warning you, don't mess with me. Chapter 12-19 The First Trial 1. The fairy's face was so fair that it looked like it had been carved out of white jade. Right now, she was looking at Feng Wu with an innocent look on her face. Feng Wu said, "Tell me now. What's the 12 trials of love?" Master Ling Hu had kept Feng Wu guessing. So far, she only knew that it was an easy task, but not the specifics. "I see," the fairy, who had been frightened by Feng Wu, returned to her senses. Blinking at Feng Wu, she said, "Well, the name is pretty self-explanatory. The 12 trials of love means that the two of you will have to form ties of affection 12 times. The two of us?" Feng Wu frowned. The fairy nodded, then pointed a tiny finger at none other than Jun Linyuan himself. Feng Wu asked, "What's that supposed to mean?" The fairy said, "The first trial starts right now." Feng Wu asked, "What's the first trial?" She was curious but scared at the same time. In her pretty dress, the fairy twirled in Feng Wu's mind and pointed her fairy wand at Jun Linyuan. Her sweet voice then rang out in Feng Wu's head. "The first trial, hug the host of the peach blossom." Feng Wu asked, "Who's the host?" The fairy almost rolled her eyes at her. "That handsome, spectacular teenage boy, of course." "Hey, my pretty master, where are you looking?" Feng Wu asked, "You mean Jun Linyuan?" The fairy nodded. Feng Wu stomped her foot. "I was going to pick Feng Sun. Why did it become Jun Linyuan?" The fairy cringed a little. Of course she wouldn't tell Feng Wu that she had chosen Jun Linyuan herself. But anyone would choose Jun Linyuan, all right. He was handsome, talented, and powerful. The fairy wondered if there was a problem with her pretty master's eyes. The fairy cleared her throat. "Well, you have yourself to blame for that. You let the bottle slip, and threw me onto him." Feng Wu felt like slapping herself, and was utterly depressed. The fairy prompted Feng Wu. "Hey, do it." Feng Wu asked, "Do what?" The fairy stomped her foot. "The first trial, of course. Hug your peach blossom host. The mission comes with a time limit." Feng Wu was dumbfounded. "Finish this trial in the next 15 minutes, or this mission is deemed a failure. That way, the broken star piece you need will disappear forever." Feng Wu. The fairy said, "Yes, just like that." Feng Wu didn't know what to say. So, this was the easy mission Master Ling Hu had promised, except that it wasn't easy at all. Sensing how resentful Feng Wu was, the fairy shuddered a little, but still reminded Feng Wu, "Hey, the host is leaving." Feng Wu had to finish this task in 15 minutes, and Jun Linyuan was leaving. How frustrating. The fairy just happened to add, "The hug has to last for more than 2 seconds to be deemed valid." Feng Wu said, "Shut up." Covering her mouth, the fairy's big, pretty eyes darted around. Meanwhile, Feng Wu couldn't begin to vent her frustration. This was only the first trial, God knew what the rest of the 11 trials were. The thought completely baffled Feng Wu. It was like the fairy said, Jun Linyuan acted as if Feng Wu wasn't there. He turned around in an arrogant manner, and looked very resolute when he started to walk away. Quickly, the fairy reminded Feng Wu. "Think about your broken star piece." Chapter 12:20 The First Trial 2. The broken star piece. At the thought of the broken star piece, which could save her beautiful master, Feng Wu forgot everything else, and charged at Jun Linyuan like a cannonball. Thump! She bumped into Jun Linyuan's back with such great force that her nose almost bled. Closing her eyes, Feng Wu threw her arms around Jun Linyuan's lean waist. Everyone was astonished. Especially Feng Sun. Right now, Feng Sun was staring unblinkingly at Feng Wu. Did little Feng Wu suddenly realize what she wants? Little Yuanbao's eyes were wide as well. "I thought His Royal Highness hated it when other people got too close. And isn't he a neat freak? Why hasn't he pushed Miss Feng away?" Jun Linyuan was the most shocked of them all. He had only just quarreled with Feng Wu and was still mad at her. It was natural that he would save her again, but his pride wouldn't allow him to talk to her. But the last thing he expected was for the girl to hug him of her own accord in public. What does she want? No one noticed that the crown prince's fair earlobes had turned a light pink. Meanwhile, the peach blossom fairy reminded Feng Wu in her head, no. That's not right. You can't hug him from behind. It has to be from the front. Feng Wu already felt like burying her head in the ground, and she wanted to send the fairy flying with a smack when she heard that. She cried out in her head, why didn't you say so earlier? The fairy cringed. What other choice did Feng Wu have? She had hugged him already, so what difference would it make if she threw herself into his arms? She gave in. Hence. Jun Linyuan had yet to recover from the shock when Feng Wu ran to the front and put her arms around him, burying her head in his chest so that her cheek was pressed to his body. Wait. To Feng Wu's surprise, she didn't hear a heartbeat under her ear. What she didn't know was that the crown prince was so shocked that his heart had skipped a beat. What Feng Wu cared about now was if this hug counted. If the fairy told her no, Feng Wu swore that she would throw the fairy away. The fairy sounded relieved when she said, great. The first trial has been completed. Before the fairy could say another word, Feng Wu ran away from Jun Linyuan. Jun Linyuan had been so conflicted that he clenched his fists. He was thinking whether he should hug her back, when the girl dashed off. He was speechless. She didn't just dash off, she ran like she was flying. She ran all the way out of the peach blossom grove and disappeared into the distance. Jun Linyuan was speechless. He and Feng Sun exchanged looks. Ahem, the crown prince cleared his throat to cover his embarrassment. Crossing his hands behind him, he stood there looking every bit as handsome as the crown prince of an empire should look. With an amazed look on his face, little Yuan Bao said the wrong thing. Your Royal Highness, she took advantage of you. What are you talking about? Feng Sun rapped the little monk's head with his knuckles. It's only taking advantage if it's one-sided. The monk scratched his head in confusion. I don't get it. Jun Linyuan glared at Feng Sun. What are you talking about? Feng Sun rubbed his nose. It seemed that Boss Jun still wouldn't admit it, they still had a long way to go. Feng Wu didn't know what happened after she left, but she could take a guess. Ah! In the empty woods, Feng Wu knocked her head against a tree. Chapter 12:21 The First Trial 3. The fairy cringed. She wanted to comfort Feng Wu, but feared that she might take the brunt of Feng Wu's vexation. When Feng Wu started banging her head against a tree, the fairy finally couldn't take it anymore. Hey, pretty master, please don't do that, the fairy had a sweet girly voice, which was quite pleasing to the ears. But Feng Wu felt as though a fire was burning inside her. Why couldn't it be Feng Sun? It would be so much easier to hug him. I can do it at any moment. Why did it have to be Jun Linyuan? Feng Wu felt like crying. The fairy rubbed her nose. She didn't dare admit that she had chosen Jun Linyuan for her pretty master because she had found the teenager so handsome. That was only the first trial, and there are 11 more to go. Feng Wu wanted to cry, but no tears would come. What are the other trials like? The fairy stammered. Well, they're mostly like this one. I think. Are you sure? The fairy raised a black cloth and took a peek at the description of the remaining trials. Instantly, her voice wasn't so confident anymore, and she said gingerly, well, I think so. Feng Wu waved her hand in resignation. Sigh. I shouldn't blame you. It's just fate, I guess. I'll take it one step at a time. The fairy nodded immediately. Feng Wu asked, when will the second trial begin? The fairy said, tomorrow. Feng Wu let out a breath of relief. Good. I can take a short break. She had a hunch that the so-called 12 Trials of Love was going to be a consecutive series of tasks that she would have to finish in one go. After that, she went back to Fallen Star Yard. Chaoga rushed up to Feng Wu as soon as she saw her. "Xiao Wu, you're back." Feng Wu nodded at Chaoga. She then sat down at her table, rested her chin on one hand, and sighed. Seeing this, Chaoga thought that Feng Wu had failed, so she sat down next to her, held her hands, and tried to console her. "Xiao Wu, don't be sad. You didn't get to meet Master Linghu this time, but I'm sure you'll meet him some other day. Plus, only a handful of people in the imperial capital have met Master Linghu so far, it's only normal that you didn't get to meet him. Don't beat yourself up over it." Feng Wu remained silent. She wished that she had never met Master Linghu. All of a sudden, Feng Wu narrowed her eyes, a suspicious look in them. Wait. Master Linghu had astonished her at first with how reverent he appeared, before he showed her the roulette with some impossible tasks. He had then told her that the 12 Trials of Love was the easiest one, and that he was practically giving it to her. The easiest one? Like hell it is. Had Feng Wu known what the 12 Trials of Love involved, or what she had to do with Jun Linyuan, she would rather try stealing that imperial seal or killing the young East Sea Dragon King. "Xiao Wu, what's wrong? Please tell us. We might not be able to solve your problem, but we can still offer moral support," said Chaoga. Feng Wu didn't know how to begin to describe how she felt. How was she supposed to tell the others about the 12 Trials of Love? She had no idea what to expect. What if the task required her to marry Jun Linyuan? Arg! Frustrated, Feng Wu smacked the table and jumped to her feet. "Xiao Wu, what's wrong?" Chaoga was a little frightened. Only then did Feng Wu return to herself. She looked up to find the others all eyeing her with concern. She suddenly realized that she was overreacting. All these people here needed her protection, and she had to keep this family safe. The last thing she should be doing was bemoaning her fate and frightening everyone else. Chapter 12-22 The Second Trial 1. "Don't worry about it." Feng Wu waved at them with a smile. "I'll take care of it. You guys go to bed now. It's late." The night passed without incident. Feng Wu was woken up by rustling the following morning. What was that? She rubbed her forehead, feeling dazed. She had tossed and turned in bed the whole night without getting any sleep. As a result, Feng Wu felt as though she was sleepwalking when she got out of bed that morning. "Pretty master, wake up. Wake up." Feng Wu heard a girl's sweet, soft voice. She woke up with a start and sat up, still clutching her duvet. Her memories only came back to her slowly after a long while. The 12 Trials of Love. Feng Wu rubbed her forehead, feeling distressed. She had a feeling that she was going to have some very tough days ahead of her. "I'll do anything to save my beautiful master." Clenching her fists, Feng Wu told herself that. The second trial starts now. The soft girly voice rang out in Feng Wu's head. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. "What is it?" The fairy paused and gave Feng Wu an awkward glance. Feng Wu said, "Just tell me. I'm ready." "All right." The fairy looked sympathetically at Feng Wu. "The second trial requires you to hold the host's hand within 2 hours, and..." "Hold his hand?" Feng Wu almost jumped to her feet. "Yes." Seeing how freaked out Feng Wu was, the fairy said tentatively, "And, you'll have to hold his hand for at least a minute." Feng Wu pointed at the fairy. "I can't do that. Please change it." Holding hands was such an intimate way of expressing one's emotions, and it felt much more significant than a hug. "I can't change it." The fairy looked innocently at Feng Wu. "You have to do it, or you can give up." Feng Wu was speechless. Of course she knew what her 2 options were. Proceed with the mission and she would find all the broken star pieces, but if she gave up now. Seeing that Feng Wu had lowered her head in disappointment, the fairy kindly reminded her, "Pretty master, you only have 2 hours left. And if you don't finish the trial before time is up, the mission will be considered a failure." The fairy drew an hourglass as she spoke. The sand began to fall quickly, so fast that it made Feng Wu want to scream. She only had 2 hours. Even if she wanted to hold Junlin Yuan's hand, she still had to find him first. That meant that 2 hours might not even be enough. Hence, she quickly got out of bed and prepared to go out. Qiuling entered the room to help Feng Wu get ready, but saw that the latter had already washed, changed, and made herself presentable. "Miss." Qiuling was only able to utter one word before Feng Wu waved her off. "I need to go out. It's urgent." As soon as she said that, Feng Wu ran out the room like a gust of wind. The next second, she was nowhere to be seen. "Miss, where are you going?" Qiuling called after Feng Wu. Where was she going? Should she go to the Crown Prince's residence so early in the morning? Feng Wu wasn't going to let other people know what she was up to. Hence, she didn't answer, but only waved at Qiuling. When Chaoga arrived, all she saw was Feng Wu waving in the distance. Chaoga asked, "What's that about? Where is Xiao Wu going, so early in the morning?" Qiuling looked perplexed. "I have no idea." Chapter 12:23 The Second Trial 2. Rubbing her chin, Chaoga said, "Is she running toward the Crown Prince's residence?" "No, she can't be. Xiao Wu can't be going to see His Royal Highness." However, to everyone's surprise, Feng Wu really was headed in Junlin Yuan's direction. The fairy would remind her of the time whenever she slowed down. The Crown Prince's residence was some distance away from the Feng Manor. Feng Wu rode as fast as she could, but it still took her some time to get there. Feng Wu hesitated when she got to the residence. As a matter of fact, the atmosphere in the residence had been rather strange since the Crown Prince got back the night before. Feng and Granny Gong sensed it more keenly than anyone else. "Is His Royal Highness still in his study?" Granny Gong arrived with a lunchbox, only to find that the lights were still on in the study. She glanced at Feng in bewilderment. "Did something happen yesterday?" Granny Gong looked perplexed. Feng was with His Royal Highness all the time, so she thought that he must know the answer. Rubbing his chin, Feng smiled a little. Granny Gong cried out, "You're smiling." Feng asked, "Am I?" Granny Gong nodded earnestly. "Yes, and it's a sneaky smile. Tell me, what's going on with His Royal Highness?" Feng gave her an unconcerned glance. "Aren't you a bit too old to gossip?" Granny Gong stepped on Feng's foot. "Hey!" Feng raised his chin and smiled. "Take a wild guess." Granny Gong mumbled, "Don't tell me that Miss Feng Wu has something to do with this." Feng gave her a mysterious smile. Granny Gong frowned. "Seriously? It's really about her?" Feng glanced at Granny Gong. "I thought you liked the girl, but you don't sound so fond of her now." Granny Gong complained, "His Royal Highness likes her, and so should we. But you've seen it yourself. That girl is outrageous. She slapped His Royal Highness, and I'm so." Everyone cared about the children they raised. Granny Gong had been taking care of His Royal Highness since he was little, so of course, she sympathized with him. As a result, she began to hold a grudge against Feng Wu. Feng only smiled. His Royal Highness tried to take advantage of her first. "You can't blame her." Granny Gong said, "I know that, but I just can't bring myself to see His Royal Highness mistreated. By the way, what happened yesterday? His Royal Highness has been in there the whole night and hasn't come out yet." Just then, the door was flung open. Cough. The handsome Crown Prince walked out, looking as stunning and charismatic as ever. He started walking without looking at anyone. Feng immediately followed him. Granny Gong asked, "Your Royal Highness, where are you going?" Junlin Yuan said casually, "I'm taking a walk." Feng Wu was at the back door, but Jun Linyuan left via the front gate. The two of them ended up missing each other. Feng Wu had no idea that Jun Linyuan had left, and was still hesitating under the lantern hanging above the gate. Lu San was the gatekeeper at the Crown Prince's residence. This wasn't a job for just anyone, and Lu San had grown quite good at reading people. He had seen the way His Royal Highness and Granny Gong treated Feng Wu, and had learned something from it. Seeing Feng Wu wandering around while biting her fingers, Lu San hastily walked over to her. Chapter 12:24 The Second Trial 3. Miss Feng, are you here to see His Royal Highness? It's too wet out here. Would you like to wait inside? The fairy reminded Feng Wu in her head, you have 90 minutes left. Feng Wu took a deep breath and decided to face her doom. Sure. Sticking out her chest, Feng Wu marched into the Crown Prince's residence. Lu San had already sent someone to fetch Granny Gong, who was amazed to hear the news. Although she still held a grudge against Feng Wu, she knew better than to offend the girl, so she came out to greet Feng Wu herself. Granny Gong. Feng Wu smiled when she saw the old maid. However, Granny Gong looked a little awkward when she saw her today. She quickly looked away after glancing at Feng Wu resentfully. Given how sensitive Feng Wu was, she couldn't miss that. Granny Gong, did something happen? Feng Wu asked suspiciously as she took Granny Gong's arm. Granny Gong snorted and looked away. This seems quite serious, thought Feng Wu. She tried to appease the old maid. Granny Gong, have I done something to upset you? Please tell me. Don't keep it all to yourself. I won't know if you don't tell me. Granny Gong darted a look at Feng Wu. Do you really want to know? Feng Wu nodded with a smile. Yes, and if I've done something wrong, just be straight with me and tell me so. Granny Gong looked Feng Wu in the eye. In that case, please promise me that you'll be nice to His Royal Highness from now on. Don't pick on him, okay? Pick on the Crown Prince? Feng Wu was speechless. Granny Gong, is there a misunderstanding or something? How can I pick on Jun Linyuan? How would I dare? She felt so wronged. He's the most prominent cultivator of our generation. He's scheming, domineering, and powerful, and he's the crown prince that can make all government officials shudder in his presence. How can I pick on him? It's more like the other way round. Granny Gong looked disgruntled. Do any of the government officials or commoners dare shout at His Royal Highness? Feng Wu said, well. Granny Gong stared at Feng Wu. Do any of those people dare step on His Royal Highness's foot? Feng Wu said, well. The old maid was still glaring at Feng Wu. And do any of those people dare slap His Royal Highness? Feng Wu said, well, that was because Jun Linyuan. Granny Gong sighed in resignation. Do you know that you hurt His Royal Highness when you pushed him before you left? How is that possible? He's so capable. Normally, you wouldn't be able to, but His Royal Highness has yet to recover from the toxin of the decaying corpses in the water dungeon, and most of the toxin is gathered in his back. Do you have any idea how badly hurt he was when you shoved him into the table? Feng Wu asked, are you saying he was injured? Granny Gong almost rolled her eyes. Old Master Xianyuan was the head of one of the 9 major clans, and not someone you can simply kill. Even His Royal Highness had to pay a price. Feng Wu said, all right. Granny Gong jabbed a finger into Feng Wu's forehead. How could you mistreat him like that? Feng Wu rubbed her nose, wondering where Granny Gong got the idea that she had been mistreating Jun Linyuan. Clearly it was the other way round. 75 minutes left. The fairy warned Feng Wu in her head. By the way, Feng Wu tugged at Granny Gong, who was still complaining. Where's His Royal Highness? So, you've come here to apologize to His Royal Highness? Granny Gong glanced at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, yes. That's right. I'm here to make peace with him. Her eyes lit up. Chapter 12:25 The Second Trial 4. That's right. Why didn't I think of that before? I should have said that I was here to make peace with Jun Linyuan. That way, I have a proper excuse to hold his hand, thought Feng Wu. Granny Gong, you're so lovely. Feng Wu said excitedly. Granny Gong gave Feng Wu a dirty look. Unfortunately, you're too late. What do you mean? Feng Wu was stunned. Granny Gong said, His Royal Highness went out. Feng Wu asked, out? Where? Granny Gong answered, His Royal Highness said he was going for a walk. I have no idea where he is now. Feng Wu. The fairy cried out in Feng Wu's head. Oh God, what are we going to do? There's not much time left. Feng Wu immediately asked Granny Gong, when did he leave? Why didn't I see him? Granny Gong said, His Royal Highness left through the front door while you came in from the back. He only just left. Feng Wu smacked her own head in frustration. Feng Wu blamed herself for waiting outside. Because of that, she had missed him. If she failed the mission because she couldn't find Jun Linyuan, she would cry so hard. She left Granny Gong immediately and rushed to the front gate. Outside the front gate was a wide street full of people, but Jun Linyuan was nowhere to be found. Feng Wu finally panicked. She hastily asked the guards where Jun Linyuan had gone. They told her that His Royal Highness had headed in the direction of West Boulevard. West Boulevard? Feng Wu immediately ran in that direction. However, she still didn't see Jun Linyuan anywhere after a long while. Feng Wu was speechless. Pretty master, you only have 60 minutes left, the fairy reminded Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked frustrated. I know. The Feng clan, Northern Feng Mansion, Wandering Temple, and even the Imperial Palace were in that direction. So, where on earth had Jun Linyuan gone? Isn't he supposed to be in bad shape? Why is he still wandering around? Fine, I'll go to Northern Feng Mansion first. Maybe he went to see Feng Sun. Feng Wu ran toward Northern Feng Mansion. At that hour, Lady Northern Feng was still having breakfast. She was glad to see Feng Wu, and wanted the girl to eat with her. Feng Wu wasn't in the mood to eat anything. All she could think of at the moment was finding Jun Linyuan. She cut to the chase. Is His Royal Highness not here? The Emperor had a lot of sons, but His Royal Highness always referred to Jun Linyuan. Lady Northern Feng asked curiously, Are you looking for His Royal Highness? Feng Wu said, Yes. Lady Northern Feng gave Feng Wu a serious look, sat up straight, and asked, Why are you looking for His Royal Highness here? Feng Wu was speechless. Lady Northern Feng added, And why are you looking for him so early in the morning? Xiao Wu, are the two of you? Jumping to her feet, Feng Wu tried to explain. There's nothing going on between us. She might as well have admitted it herself. Lady Northern Feng looked concerned. Xiao Wu, are you infatuated with him? Feng Wu said, No, I'm not. My lady, you're mistaken. How can I be in love with someone like Jun Linyuan? He's the last person on earth I would fall in love with. Crash! That they heard a noise outside the door. Turning around, Feng Wu saw that Feng Sun had bumped into the door plank. The sight made Feng Wu jump. For a brief moment, she thought she had seen Jun Linyuan. Why are you eavesdropping on us? Feng Wu berated Feng Sun. Chapter 12:26 The Second Trial 5. Feng Sun looked perfectly innocent. How can that be eavesdropping? You were so loud that we could hear you all the way from over there. Feng Wu's heart raced. Was someone with you? Feng Sun gave Feng Wu a meaningful look. Of course. I was with Boss Jun. Rumble. Feng Wu felt as though a thunderclap had exploded over her head so loudly that her scalp tingled. She looked dumbfounded. She stared at Lady Northern Feng in bewilderment. The lady shrugged, looking equally innocent. I had no idea that His Royal Highness was here. Feng Wu looked like she was going to cry. Today had to be the unluckiest day of her life. Everything was working against her. Where's Jun Linyuan now? Feng Wu returned to herself and grabbed Feng Sun's hand. Feng Sun shrugged. You were yelling that Jun Linyuan was the last person on earth that you would fall in love with, and you know what Boss Jun's like. Of course he stormed off. In which direction? Feng Wu was so mad that she shook Feng Sun by his shoulders. Feng Sun could have told her that Jun Linyuan was there. Why is this happening? Ah. Feng Sun looked so innocent. How am I supposed to know what you're thinking? I wasn't thinking of anything. I was just... Well, forget it. Just tell me which direction Jun Linyuan left in. East. Feng Sun pointed for her. Feng Wu threw a dirty look at Feng Sun and dashed off as fast as a streak of lightning. Left behind, Lady Northern Feng and Feng Sun exchanged looks. Lady Northern Feng looked concerned. Is Xiao Wu really in love with His Royal Highness? Feng Sun had gotten used to the idea already and retorted, what's wrong with that? Lady Northern Feng rolled her eyes at him. Have you heard nothing I've told you so far? What's so good about marrying into the royal family? She'll have to compete with so many women. Feng Sun rubbed his nose. He couldn't bring himself to tell his mother that little Feng Wu already hugged Boss Jun in Endless Peach Blossom Grove the day before. She had hugged him from behind first, then moved to the front. And it had been a very long hug. With one look, he could tell that Feng Wu had wanted to do it. While Feng Wu was searching everywhere for Jun Linyuan, in World Tower. Feng Lu was drowning herself in alcohol. The thought of Feng Wu put her in a bad mood, so she had invited a few of her girlfriends to have a drink at World Tower. Naturally, Feng Sang was among them. On the 5th floor. I think you've had enough. Feng Sang looked at Feng Lu in resignation. You look drunk, and this is highly inappropriate. Feng Lu waved her off. Leave me alone. I want to drink. Let me drink. Hey, isn't that Feng Lu? Zhuo Qingyu and Dugu Yamo were heading upstairs when they heard Feng Lu's voice from a private room on the 5th floor, and they exchanged looks. They recognized Feng Lu's voice. Feng Lu was unimportant, but she was related to Feng Wu, and that made her somewhat valuable. Hence, after exchanging looks, Zhuo Qingyu and Dugu Yamo headed for that room together. They pushed the door open without knocking, and indeed, they saw the inebriated Feng Lu. Feng Lu recognized Zhuo Qingyu. Qingyu, it's you. What a coincidence. Zhuo Qingyu smiled. Do you mind if we sit here? Feng Lu wanted to make friends with Zhuo Qingyu, so of course she wouldn't turn them away. Her head was still spinning when she waved at the other two girls. No, of course not. After taking her seat, Zhuo Qingyu saw Feng Lu's flushed cheeks, and feigned a concerned tone. 12:27 The second trial 6. She feigned a concerned voice as she asked, Sister Feng Lu, what's wrong? Isn't it a bit too early to get drunk? Recalling her brother's warning, Feng Sang decided to keep her guard up when dealing with Zhuo Qingyu. Her family had made up their minds to get along with Feng Wu, because they would become connected to His Royal Highness through her. However, Feng Lu didn't like that verdict. Holding her bottle, she sobbed. Zhuo Qingyu acted like a good friend and asked, What's wrong? Why are you crying? Is it because of Feng Wu? Something clicked in Feng Lu's head at the sound of that name, and she roused a little. How do you know it's Feng Wu? Zhuo Qingyu gave her a knowing look. So, it really is her. I was only guessing, that's all. You know what Feng Wu's like. I bet she's all high and mighty at the moment. She has to be so arrogant. Feng Lu's face went scarlet, and her eyes shone maliciously. Zhuo Qingyu was very good at making other people do the dirty work while she hid behind the scenes. Right now, Feng Lu was her new dumb pawn. That Feng Wu is unbelievable. Nothing has happened yet, but she's already acting like a peacock. Duguyemo snorted. That was what girls were like. Regardless of what their prior relationships were like, when they had a common enemy, they would suddenly become best friends. And that was what they were now. Feng Lu was so mad that she smashed her bottle down on the table. Of course she's like a peacock. His Royal Highness carried her away in his arms. He carried her. He carried her. However, something flickered in Duguyemo's eyes. Could it be that there's something behind all this? What are you suggesting? Feng Lu's eyes widened, and she looked excited. Duguyemo said, maybe there's another reason. For instance, His Royal Highness owing Feng Wu something. That's it. Duguyemo smacked the table in excitement. It has to be about the annulled marriage contract. All eyes were on Duguyemo. She couldn't hide the excitement on her face. His Royal Highness was engaged to Feng Wu 5 years ago, but it was later annulled. His Royal Highness must feel sorry toward Feng Wu over that. She was so excited that she spoke very fast. A capable cultivator like His Royal Highness can't have anything trouble his mind. Otherwise, it can interfere with his cultivation and make him go berserk. That was why His Royal Highness hurt old Master Xianyuan to save Feng Wu. And that was why His Royal Highness showed up during that duel and snatched the old man's soul. Before this, the others had believed that His Royal Highness had feelings for Feng Wu, but they saw the light when they listened to Duguyemo's analysis. That's right. Since when is His Royal Highness in love with Feng Wu? It has to be out of guilt for what happened before. None of them stopped to think about the possibility that Jun Linyuan would genuinely try to compensate her for what he had done. However, the girls here had convinced themselves with that excuse, and they grew excited. Feng Lu said, does that Feng Wu really think that His Royal Highness likes her? She'll be in tears after she learns that His Royal Highness was only trying to compensate her. Duguyemo said, Feng Wu is too arrogant, everyone knows it now. She'll be so humiliated when the truth is revealed. Your entire clan will be incriminated. Chapter 12:28 The Second Trial 7. Feng Sang frowned, but didn't join the conversation. His Royal Highness did all that as compensation. Feng Sang wanted to tell them that given His Royal Highness's temperament, even if he wanted to compensate someone, he would have one of his subordinates do it. Someone as prominent as he was would never do such a thing himself, let alone carry Feng Wu away. But she couldn't say anything, for if she did, they wouldn't allow her to stay. Feng Lu smacked the table in frustration. Feng Wu is so arrogant. She's crossed the line. I really hope that someone can teach her a lesson. An idea struck Duguyemo, and she turned to Zhuo Qingyu. By the way, Qingyu, when is your sister coming back? Needless to say, she was talking about Zhuo Qinghuan. Zhuo Qingyu smiled. I don't think my sister will come back before she becomes a spiritual lord. But isn't she worried? Duguyemo looked at Zhuo Qingyu. Feng Wu is hitting on His Royal Highness. Zhuo Qingyu chuckled. Why are you worried? How can some girl like Feng Wu compare with my sister? She's too petty to even put my sister's shoes on for her. Feng Lu smacked the table. That's right. Feng Wu is nothing compared with Sister Qinghuan. Zhuo Qingyu waved her hands and smiled. Even if Feng Wu is lucky enough for His Royal Highness to be interested in her, she'll be a concubine at most. What can she possibly do in front of my sister, His Royal Highness's official wife? The others agreed with her, but still felt jealous. It was either Feng Wu or Zhuo Qinghuan, why couldn't it be one of them? Just then, Zhuo Qingyu heard the sounds of a small commotion outside. His Royal Highness? Is His Royal Highness here at World Tower? Zhuo Qingyu was excited. Although her sister and His Royal Highness were meant for each other, no one said that a sister-in-law had to remain a sister-in-law. It would be so nice if she and her sister could marry the same person. Zhuo Qingyu had always had that fantasy, so she rushed out as soon as she heard that Jun Linyuan was here. Why did all the girls here hold so many grudges against Feng Wu? Why had they become allies? It was because of His Royal Highness, their common goal, and Feng Wu, their common enemy. Hence, Zhuo Qingyu wasn't the only one who rushed out. What about Feng Wu? What was she doing at the moment? She was so anxious. Jun Linyuan. Where was Jun Linyuan at the moment? Feng Wu had searched everywhere, including all the places Jun Linyuan liked to visit. Could he be at the Feng Manor? Feng Wu ran back to Fallen Star Yard as fast as she could. Xiaoge was startled when she saw Feng Wu return. Xiao Wu, did His Royal Highness hit you? Elated, Feng Wu took Xiaoge's arm. No, he didn't. Was His Royal Highness here? Xiaoge nodded. Yes, he was here only just then, and stood next to the wall, looking all angry. He also kicked our wall before he left. Xiaoge pointed at what was left of the wall after Jun Linyuan kicked it. That's the third time. The wall's been destroyed 3 times. The broken wall was the last thing Feng Wu cared about. Where's Jun Linyuan now? Xiaoge gave her a sympathetic look. Xiao Wu, His Royal Highness was so mad and so intimidating. I don't think we should interact with him anymore. Feng Wu felt like screaming. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.